Chapter 604. Special Annihilation Core. The Black Cloth Core is the most mysterious and powerful core in the fantasy field. Granny Ma had also said before that the Black Cloth Core was equivalent to a large number of points. As long as they could kill one, they would be able to obtain 100 points. Qin Yun recalled that the Black Cloth Core that appeared earlier had a total of more than 50 people. If he could kill all of them, it would be 5,000 points. Damn, this Black Cloth Core is really powerful. Qin Yun clenched his fists and once again entered the fantasy field. After entering, he appeared in the safe city. What he didn't expect was that he actually lost 100 points. Every time he was killed by the Black Cloth Core, he would lose 100 points. Damn it! When Qin Yun saw that his points had decreased by 100, he felt very displeased. The Black Cloth Core is very strong, and they have never appeared before. It is said that as long as one seized the people from the Black Cloth Core, they would be instantly killed. Only if a few powerful armies besieged the Black Cloth Core would they have a chance of winning. At night, Qin Yun left the safe city. He headed toward the headquarters of Long Xiaofeng's army to find Long Xiaofeng and ask her. In the dark of the night, he could use the power of shadow to make himself invisible. As such, even if the Black Cloth Core appeared, they would not be able to kill him in an instant. Long Xiaofeng has been here for a long time. I should be able to get some information from her. Qin Yun closed his eyes and looked at the map. Long Xiaofeng had told him where Xiaofeng Army's headquarters was, and that he could look for her if he needed anything. In the Immortal Weapon City, if there is nothing else, the disciples will mostly try to get points in the fantasy field. Only by obtaining points would one be able to exchange for precious cultivation techniques. Especially those heaven-tier cultivation techniques, they required a large number of points to exchange for. Late at night, Qin Yun arrived in a desert. As he stood at the edge of the desert, he could sense that there were auras coming from within. There's a battle? With bewilderment in his heart, Qin Yun hurriedly used his fastest speed to head into the desert. After flying for almost an hour, he suddenly sensed a violent flame aura. It's Yang Shenglong. Qin Yun remembered that this is Yang Shenglong's aura. In the sky above the desert, many people were engaged in a chaotic battle. It was the battle between Xiaofeng Army and Victorious Dragon Army. Long Xiaofeng and Yang Shenglong are fighting in the distance. Qin Yun looked into the distance and said with a frown, "All right, let me harvest the disciples of these two core." Qin Yun released 5 flying sabers. After he refined the flying dagger, it became a Xian artifact. If a martial master at the 9th level of the martial Dao or the early stage of the spirit martial realm could not defend in time, then they would die. Qin Yun hid in the darkness and controlled the 5 throwing knives to enter the chaotic battlefield, killing many spirit martial realm martial artists. His points continued to soar. Xiaofeng Army and Victorious Dragon Army were 2 big armies. If they were to be killed, it would add up to over 1,000 points. Although some people had died in the previous battle, there were still around 780 people. The martial masters of the spiritual martial realm also noticed that someone was secretly attacking them. "It's the throwing knife. Qin Yun is here," someone suddenly shouted. Many people have seen Qin Yun's previous battle with their own eyes and know that he has 5 very powerful throwing knives. Knowing that Qin Yun was here, the people of the 2 core were terrified. Qin Yun took out a Xian saber and hurriedly entered the battlefield. Many people who fled were also chased and killed by the flying daggers. Qin Yun chased after the fleeing martial masters with his saber, basically killing one with 1 saber strike. In order to allow Qin Yun to kill more, Ling Yun also quickly released her power to help. Not long after, the people of the 2 core were killed by Qin Yun. A bunch of weak chickens. Qin Yun floated in the air and looked in the direction of Yang Shenglong and Long Xiaofeng. Then, he hid in the darkness and quickly flew over. After Qin Yun arrived, he saw Long Xiaofeng covered in wounds. She was fighting with Yang Shenglong, and the weapon in her hand was also damaged. "Yang Shenglong, you despicable bastard, you actually sneak attacked me. Didn't we agree that our family powers would not fight with each other?" Long Xiaofeng said angrily. Your Long family's strongest elder in the immortal weapon city will be imprisoned for 15 years. Your Long family has already lost power in the immortal weapon city. Yang Shenglong laughed heartily. He brandished a gigantic axe and unleashed waves of scorching air. If I kill a woman like you, the Long family won't say anything. Ha ha, and Long Quanghong also supports my actions. The elder of the Long family, because he angered the lawkeeper Hall, was severely punished and imprisoned for 15 years. In these 15 years, the Long family's power has been weakened, and it is normal for them to be bullied by other big families. These family powers are like this. When they are evenly matched, they will unite. When one of them becomes weak, they will rush to devour that weak one. Now, Long Xiaofeng was sneak attacked by Yang Shenglong, and it is the same principle. Long Xiaofeng is still too young. She did not expect that Yang Shenglong would attack her core and even use an ambush method. Long Xiaofeng, I have wanted to have sex with you for a long time. Even if you're injured all over by me, I will still let you be a slave. The evil desire in Yang Shenglong's heart was completely ignited, and he laughed crazily. Long Xiaofeng, who is dressed in white, has many bloodstains on her body. They were all caused by the terrifying energy. Wishful thinking. Even if I lose 1,000 points, I won't let you touch me. Long Xiaofeng's voice is cold, and her jade-like face is ice cold. From her voice, Qin Yin can tell that her injuries are not too serious. Long Xiaofeng used the power of dragon and phoenix, and its power is also very strong. And Yang Shenglong's martial spirit seems to be a very strong flame martial spirit. The primordial Tao power released by him released an extremely overbearing scorching power. Originally, Long Xiaofeng and Yang Shenglong's strength was about the same. She was even a bit stronger than Yang Shenglong. However, she doesn't have Tian-tier martial art, so she is at a disadvantage in this aspect. Ling Yuner said. Qin Yin also nodded. In terms of Tao power, Long Xiaofeng is indeed not weak. However, Yang Shenglong has mastered a Tian-tier martial art. Tao power released through a Tian-tier martial art is much stronger than a high-grade Earth-tier martial art. Long Xiaofeng is at a disadvantage in this aspect, and she was ambushed earlier. Setting Sun Heavenly Seal. Yang Shenglong roared, and a huge fireball, like a small sun, suddenly fell down and enveloped Long Xiaofeng's body. Long Xiaofeng was immediately enveloped by the fireball. Rumble. Under Yang Shenglong's control, the small sun-like fireball produced a series of explosions, attacking Long Xiaofeng inside. Long Xiaofeng screamed in anger and pain. Long Xiaofeng is afraid of pain, afraid of being tortured. It's not a bad thing to let her experience this kind of thing more. Qin Yun held a throwing knife in his hand. He could have attacked long ago. After the fireball exploded, Long Xiaofeng, who is riddled with wounds, is lying on the desert, slightly gasping for breath. Sigh, you're not beautiful now, but your body is still very good. Yang Shenglong laughed sinisterly. Just as he walked over, he saw a cold light shooting at him. It is a throwing knife. The throwing knife swiftly arrived and landed on Long Xiaofeng's forehead, killing her. Long Xiaofeng, who was killed, also left the fantasy field to avoid being tortured and tainted by Yang Shenglong. She only lost 2 points. Yang Shenglong is greatly alarmed. He knows this kind of throwing knife. Here, only Qin Yin can use this kind of terrifying throwing knife. Just as Yang Shenglong was surprised, several flying daggers flew over from all directions. Xiao, xiao, xiao. Qin Yin, don't hide. Yang Shenglong is still quite powerful. He stomped his feet, and a flame barrier surged out from his body. The throwing knives found it difficult to penetrate. Qin Yin appeared behind Yang Shenglong. He gently waved the Xin saber in his hand. It is an ordinary saber strike, but it is extremely sharp and fatal. With the fastest and most appropriate attack, it slashed at Yang Shenglong's lower back. Yang Shenglong's flame barrier is very strong, but Qin Yin's saber is even stronger. Ah, despicable! Yang Shenglong's lower back was slashed horizontally by the saber. His bones broke, and he was unable to maintain his balance. Swish! Qin Yin's second saber strike was light and steady. It chopped off Yang Shenlong's arm. When he felt that it was about time, he put away his saber, raised his fist, and fiercely punched Yang Shenlong. Every time Qin Yun's fists hit Yang Shenlong's body, a burst of electricity would overflow. The violent black thunder and lightning power would also drill into Yang Shenlong's body. Yang Shenlong screamed miserably from Qin Yun's beating. He is in incomparable pain. He did not expect Qin Yun to be here. Even with his eyes closed, he saw that Qin Yun's points have increased by more than 800 points. He now has 2,800 points. The 10th ranked person only has a little more than 3,000 points. Qin Yun is now ranked 12th and will soon enter the top 10. Yang Shenlong could not stand the pain and forcefully left the fantasy field. 1,000 points were deducted, and he fell out of the top 10. As a result, Qin Yun's ranking became 11th. First place is Jian Rian, a disciple of the Jian family. She does not have a core. Second place is Tian Yaolei, and third place is Long Xiaofeng. Then there are some other unfamiliar people. Their points are not that high. All of them have around 3,000 points. The difference in points between the top 10 people is not too big because their main goal is to maintain their ranking and obtain the qualifications to participate in the martial arts competition. Although they had a large number of points before, they had all been exchanged for resources. Even the first-ranked Jian Rian only has around 4,000 points. The second-ranked Tian Yaolei has 3,900 points. The sky gradually brightened. Qin Yun walked out of the desert and prepared to return to the city. However, he suddenly saw a group of people in the distance. Another corps has arrived. Yaolei Corps. Qin Yun saw the 2-meter-tall, burly man from afar. For Tian Yaolei to appear here, it is obvious that Yang Shenlong brought him here. Yang Shenlong also followed Tian Yaolei. He looked at Qin Yun with an angry expression. He had lost 1,000 points, and his corps had been killed by Qin Yun. This is a great humiliation to him. Qin Yun, you are truly capable. You almost entered the top 10, but with me here, I won't let you enter the top 10. Although Tian Yaolei's body is huge, he is extremely agile. His body transformed into a bolt of lightning and suddenly appeared in front of Qin Yun. The muscles on Tian Yaolei's body are exposed. Lightning power flowed under his muscles, flickering. Chapter 605. Tian Yaolei also knew that Qin Yun was not easy to deal with, but he was not afraid at all. Soon after, a large group of people arrived in a grandiose manner. It was Yang Shenlong's corps and Long Quanghong's corps. At this moment, there were 3 armies surrounding Qin Yun. Not long after, another large group of people arrived. It turned out to be Hua Siye leading his corps. It seems like they have made an appointment. A lot of people have come. Qin Yun's expression gradually turned grave. Just as Hua Siye's corps arrived, another group of figures appeared in the distance. It is another corps. It is Long Ziming's corps. Jilang's army had already been incorporated into the Yaolei army. So the current Yaolei army was the strongest and had the most people. Qin Yun, you won't be able to escape even if you grow wings. Tian Yaolei laughed loudly. Do you want to surround me or fight me one by one? Qin Yun remained calm and said slowly. Tian Yaolei looked at Hua Siye and the other corps commanders and said, I alone can take care of you. Among these experts, only Tian Yaolei has not fought with Qin Yun. Hua Siye, Jilang, Long Quanghong, Yang Shenlong, Long Xiaofeng, they were all killed by Qin Yun. If Tian Yaolei defeated Qin Yun, it would prove that he was stronger than those few people. This way, it would increase his prestige by quite a bit, especially among the family powers of the Immortal Weapon City. This would allow him to be praised by the family. It seems that even if I beat you, I won't be able to escape even if I grow wings. Qin Yun looked at the more than 2,000 people around him. Other than Hua Siye's people, the rest are disciples of family powers. They're the youngest and strongest batch of main sect disciples. Being surrounded like this, it was indeed very difficult to escape. Hua Siye said coldly, Qin Yun, if I were you, I would definitely leave the fantasy field immediately. This way, I can avoid the pain. Qin Yun, we formed an alliance specifically to deal with you. You won't be able to enter the top 10. Yang Shenlong laughed sinisterly. Not only in the fantasy field, even in the real world, you are our target. Long Quanghong said coldly. Our Long family's assassins have already been dispatched. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan would also become their targets. Don't think that you can be safe and sound by hiding in Demon Moon Island. Qin Yun, just admit your guilt obediently. Yang Shenlong threatened. You captured an elder of our Yang family. Our Yang family will not let you off. We have already sent people to the Immortal Weapon City. Hua Siye's face is filled with anger as he said to Qin Yun. It's all because of you that our Immortal Weapon City is being attacked by many families. The Long family, Yang family, Tian family, Medicine Immortal Valley, and Azure Flame Immortal Mountain are all preparing to join forces to force the Immortal Weapon City to expel you from the sect. Qin Yun, you have brought a lot of trouble to our Immortal Weapon City. You are truly a scourge. Tian Yaolei coldly said. Bring trouble? Didn't you bring me trouble as well? Don't worry. I will deal with all of you sooner or later. You bunch of trash. You are just showing off your prowess in the Immortal Weapon Palace. With your strength, facing the powerful disciples of the other immortal sects, you won't be able to withstand a few moves. Qin Yun's voice is filled with ridicule. All of you should know that I have fused with the wildfire inscription spirit. The fire attribute runes I carve are also the strongest. My importance to the Immortal Weapon City is not something you trash can imagine. Bullshit, Long Quanghong shouted. If you were really important to the Immortal Weapon City, you would have been accepted into the Lawkeeper Hall long ago. Our Lawkeeper Hall doesn't want this kind of thing. No matter how great his inscription talent is, he will never be able to enter our Lawkeeper Hall. Hua Siye's voice is filled with jealousy as he shouted. Qin Yun, don't be arrogant. You are not important to our Immortal Weapon City at all. Just you wait and see. It won't be long before the people from the few great clans, the Medicine Immortal Valley, and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain arrive. There are many seniors in the Lawkeeper Hall who have already expressed their desire to expel you from the Immortal Weapon City. Tian Yaolei said, That's right. Many of the seniors in the main sect also support the expulsion of Qin Yun. Yang Shenlong said with a proud smile. Qin Yun, did you hear that? You're about to be expelled, but you still think that you are important to the Immortal Weapon City. You, who have no background or aristocratic family, actually want to become a core disciple of an immortal sect? Dream on. Hua Siye's face is filled with disdain. After you are expelled, you will definitely be dismembered by your enemies. Qin Yun's expression gradually changed. If the Immortal Weapon City expelled him, he would have to make new arrangements for the future. I have done a great service to the Immortal Weapon City. They won't chase me away. Great service? So what? Who cares about you if they chase you away? You must know that most of the seniors in our Immortal Weapon City support chasing you away. Hua Siye sneered. Then we'll see. Qin Yun gripped the saber in his hand tightly as he looked at Tian Yaolei. Hua Siye and the others also happily flew to the distance to watch the battle below. Tian Yaolei should be the strongest initial stage spirit martial realm in our Immortal Weapon Palace, right? Long Quanghong said. Of course, Tian Yaolei has taken first place in many martial arts competitions. Although Yang Shenlong didn't want to admit it, he could only accept this fact. If he's really strong, then capture Qin Yun. Hua Siye said unhappily. Tian Yaolei took out a hammer and said with an arrogant expression, Qin Yun, you will definitely lose 1,000 points today. Ha ha ha. After saying that, Tian Yaolei smashed his hammer down. When the hammer smashed down, it released a burst of intense lightning that fell on Qin Yun's body like a waterfall. Qin Yun's body was in pain from the lightning strike. However, he still steadily brandished his saber to resist Tian Yaolei's sledgehammer. The last time Qin Yun was attacked by Tian Yaolei, he was at the 9th level martial Dao realm. Now that he is at the spirit martial realm, he is much stronger than before. Tian Yaolei can sense how strong Qin Yun has become because last time he was able to beat Qin Yun to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. Now that he is attacking Qin Yun, the power he unleashed is even more ferocious than before. However, Qin Yun seems to be able to block his attack with a light slash. Tian Yaolei's body flashed with lightning as he once again raised his sledgehammer. Boom! The raised sledgehammer attracted powerful lightning and thunder in the air before bombarding Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun promptly released vibration Dao power to wrap around his body and then retreated far away from Tian Yaolei. Qin Yun's body was once again violently attacked by a powerful lightning bolt. Although the violent thunder exploded with a loud sound, Qin Yun seems to be completely fine. This guy's close combat strength is extremely terrifying. Qin Yun doesn't dare to approach Tian Yaolei because he still has not figured out how strong he is. Tian Yaolei's body looks very frightening, but it hides a terrifying explosive power. Yang Shenlong and the others who are watching from the sky are extremely astonished when they saw Qin Yun block 2 attacks in a row. They are very clear about Tian Yaolei's strength. Not to mention 2 attacks. Even if he was hit once, it would be fatal. The fact that Qin Yun was able to block 2 attacks is truly unexpected to them. Tian Yaolei is also secretly alarmed. Then, with a loud roar, his tall and sturdy body transformed into a bolt of lightning and instantly leaped towards Qin Yun. At the instant he leaped over, he raised the huge hammer in his hand and ruthlessly smashed it down. It was done in one go, ferocious and swift. The exploding lightning bolts are like angry dragons that wildly danced in all directions, roaring and howling. Qin Yun did not dodge either. Instead, he brandished his saber to meet the attack. Bang bang! Qin Yun's saber struck the hammer twice in quick succession. He struck out with 2 strong, vibrating Dao powers that dispersed the lightning Dao power that surged out from the hammer. Tian Yaolei originally wanted to release a series of ferocious dragon-like raging thunder, but now that he's been hit by Qin Yun twice, his power has been dispersed and his rhythm is immediately messed up. Fortunately, he is very experienced in battle. After withdrawing his hammer, he dodged Qin Yun's saber energy and quickly gathered his strength before smashing it again. Thunder Dragon Energy. This is a Tian tier martial art. Hua Xie said with a frown, but Qin Yun seems to be able to block this kind of power. Qin Yun must be hiding some secret that allowed him to become so strong. Yang Shenlong said, he is extremely envious of Qin Yun's strength. Long Quanghong said with a sinister expression, we must capture him and force him to reveal this secret. This guy doesn't have a Shin body, nor is he a dual Dao core. For him to be so powerful, he must have used some ancient secret technique. When they saw that Qin Yun and Tian Yaolei are evenly matched, they became even more certain. Yuner, get ready. Qin Yun suddenly said before dodging the raging thunder that Tian Yaolei smashed down. Thunder rumbled and lightning flashed on Tian Yaolei's body. He is like the incarnation of the thunder god as he released bolts of lightning. Those bolts of lightning are like flexible ropes that wrapped around Qin Yun. Qin Yun, I'm the strongest initial stage spirit martial realm in the Immortal Weapon City. Let me end you. When Tian Yaolei saw Qin Yun being entangled by the lightning, he laughed proudly. He leaped above Qin Yun and smashed his sledgehammer down ferociously. Qin Yun's body trembled slightly as the power of the earthquake divine ability surged out, dispersing the lightning power that bound him. After breaking free, Qin Yun hurriedly dodged dozens of meters away. Boom! Tian Yaolei smashed down with his hammer, creating a huge crater on the ground. Hua Xie and company secretly felt that it was a pity. At the same time, they're astonished at Qin Yun's strength. He was actually able to break free from the binding of the lightning. The furious Tian Yaolei roared angrily and charged at Qin Yun. Just as he approached Qin Yun, an extremely heavy and formless power suddenly descended. It is like a transparent mountain that pressed down on Tian Yaolei's body. Tian Yaolei, who was flying, was heavily pressed down. After his body fell, he lay face down on the ground in an extremely sorry state. Chapter 606. Sort of first-place Qin Yun has always been wary of Hua Xie and company. He had never trusted these fellows. Sensing Long Quanghong flying over, he hurriedly released 5 throwing daggers. As he controlled the throwing daggers to block Long Quanghong and company, he charged at Tian Yaolei. Using vibration power, he punched Tian Yaolei crazily. Just as Tian Yaolei was about to condense his power to break free from the gravity, he was struck by the continuous vibration power, causing the power in his body to dissipate. Qin Yun's crazy attacks caused Tian Yaolei to scream miserably. The initial stage, Spirit Martial Realm, who was recognized as the strongest in the Immortal Weapon City, was actually beaten to such a sorry state. He screamed like a mad dog being beaten. Tian Yaolei, a tall and sturdy man, was attacked by the vibration and thunder power. He could not endure the bone-piercing pain. The lightning that Qin Yun shot out was black in color. With the support of the vibration power, it could directly penetrate the bones and cause the most fatal attack. Tian Yaolei did not want to leave the fantasy field because it would cause him to lose 1,000 points and fall out of the top 10. He had been ranked second for a long time. If he were to suddenly fall out of the top 10, it would be extremely embarrassing. Therefore, Tian Yaolei could only endure Qin Yun's torture. Hua Xie and company are very strong. The throwing daggers that Qin Yun released could not stop them for long. Everyone attacked together. Long Quanghong shouted, "Attack with all your might, and save Tian Yaolei." A few large-scale armies all shouted and rushed towards Qin Yun. Qin Yun hurriedly threw out a few fire Xian talismans in all directions. After the Xian talismans were thrown out, there was a boom 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 sound. Waves of flames covered a distance of tens of thousands of meters in the blink of an eye. A few huge flaming mushrooms rose up and collided in the air, once again creating a wave of fire clouds. The sky and the earth are shrouded in flames. The ferocious flames danced crazily, turning into a raging gale that burned the people inside. There were more than 2,000 people in those core. Nearly 1,000 ninth-level martial Dao cultivators were burned to death in an instant. This allowed Qin Yun to gain 1,000 points. He now has a total of 3,900 points. In an instant, he jumped to second place on the martial Dao list. The other martial masters of the Spirit Martial Realm could only desperately rush out of the sea of flames. However, they could not dodge Qin Yun's throwing daggers. Qin Yun controlled the 5 flying daggers to kill in the sea of fire, killing all the Spirit Martial Realm martial masters who were burnt. Many people screamed as they were burnt. The sea of fire was like purgatory. Inside the safe city, Long Xiaofeng is extremely shocked seeing Qin Yun's points keep increasing. Many people also began to shout and shout. Qin Yun is ranked second. Did he wipe out 2 armies? Maybe he met the Black Cloth Corps and killed 10 black-clothed men. Killing a black-clothed man will increase by 100 points, but Qin Yun's points are increasing by 1 or 2 points, which means that he is slaughtering the army. His points are still increasing. With this level of points, there should be at least 3 armies. 4,200 points, 4,300, 4,400, 4,500. A large number of Spirit Martial Realm warriors are being killed one after another. The people of the safe city are closing their eyes as they watch Qin Yun's points keep increasing. All of them are incomparably shocked. They find it hard to believe that this is real. Long Xiaofeng also knew that Qin Yun was besieged by many armies. However, she never expected that Qin Yun would be able to defeat a few large armies with his own strength. Qin Yun is too terrifying. He is alone, but he has actually destroyed a few large armies. Just what kind of armies were destroyed? Qin Yun is first. The first place on the martial Dao list has finally changed hands. Qin Yun's points also soared to 5,200. In the desert, the few armies did not expect Qin Yun to have so many fire Xian talismans. When Qin Yun threw out the first wave of fire Xian talismans, those Spirit Martial Realm warriors were barely able to withstand it. In the second wave, they were unable to do so. Furthermore, there were Qin Yun's flying daggers. Tian Yaolei was severely injured by Qin Yun. He was lying on the ground, unable to move. He did not dare to leave the fantasy field by himself, because Qin Yun was still watching from his side. Hua Xie was the first to arrive, but he did not dare to approach Qin Yun. He was worried that he would be hit by the gravity attack released by Qin Yun. He only sent out balls of Dao power from afar. Long Quanghong, Yang Shunlong, Long Ziming, Chu Bajong, and Xia Shufeng also attacked Qin Yun from all directions. Xiao Yun, I will use the power of the Nether Sun Dao Core to release a suction force to suck them over. Then, you can seize the opportunity to attack them. Ling Yun suddenly said. At this moment, the surrounding flames suddenly entered Qin Yun's body and were quickly absorbed. Hua Xie and others, who were attacking Qin Yun from afar, also sensed a suction force from Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun, that evil guy, what is he doing? What kind of power is this? It actually has such a powerful suction force. Quickly attack him and make him stop. Use your weapons to kill him. Yang Shunlong and others immediately panicked. Qin Yun's Nether Sun power is also the most powerful suction force. When he was in the vast universe, he saw the Nether Sun devour a huge sun. It has a very terrifying suction force. After Qin Yun brought those people over, he released the power of the Earthquake Divine Ability and punched through the air. The power of the Earthquake Divine Ability was shot out through the fist and concentrated on a single point. It is powerful and ferocious. It landed on a person's body. The ferocious vibration power directly penetrated the flesh and blood on the surface and entered the body, shattering the internal organs. Qin Yun punched continuously. Black fish shadows surged out with a hua-hua-hua sound. With a low and furious roar, they ferociously entered the bodies of those people. Boom, boom, boom. The power of the divine ability exploded in the bodies of Hua Xie and others, tearing apart their internal organs, causing them to vomit blood and scream loudly. Qin Yun's throwing knives suddenly flew over and destroyed their hands and feet. Hua Xie and others were defeated by Qin Yun once again. Furthermore, this time they were besieging Qin Yun. This result is also beyond their expectations. They all admit that they are absolutely not Qin Yun's match in a one-on-one fight. They originally thought that by joining hands to attack Qin Yun, they would be able to smoothly take him down. And now, they have been crippled by Qin Yun. They don't have the strength to fight back. Qin Yun raised his foot and vigorously stomped on Tian Yaolei. Tian Yaolei's face is buried in the soil, and he has no chance to raise his head. Qin Yun, I'm going to be eaten alive by you. Tian Yaolei shouted malevolently and then disappeared. Tian Yaolei, who is ranked third, also fell to the back and fell out of the top 10. When Hua Xie and company saw Qin Yun's calm gaze, they could not help but shiver. The first to leave the fantasy field was Long Ziming, followed by Hua Xie, Long Quanghong, and Yang Shunlong. Once again, 1,000 points were deducted from them, and they were ranked at the very bottom. Before the start of the martial arts tournament, it was basically impossible for them to enter the top 10. Qin Yun heaved a long sigh and calmly looked around before rushing towards the safe city. The people in the safe city once again cried out in alarm. They are even more excited than Qin Yun. This is because the few people who have occupied the top 10 of the martial Dao list for many years have now fallen to the back. They originally had 2,000 to 3,000 points, but now they only have around 1,000 points. Now, they all understand which core went to besiege Qin Yun. Although this is the truth, everyone still finds it hard to believe that such a few powerful core besieging Qin Yun did not gain any advantage at all. Instead, they suffered heavy losses. Qin Yun has just stepped into the spirit martial realm. How can he have such terrifying power? This kind of power should be at the middle or late stage of the spirit martial realm, right? Qin Yun doesn't have a Xian body, nor does he have dual martial spirits. Could it be his totem power? I heard that he has a dual totem inheritance. He can carve golden ape totem and another beast totem. If he obtains the wildfire inscription spirit, it will also give him a very strong power. This guy should be our Immortal Weapon Palace's strongest early-stage spirit martial realm. Not necessarily, Hua Xie and company's true strength has been weakened. Their Xian body or bloodline power can't be unleashed in this fantasy field. Long Xiaofeng is also in the safe city. Hearing the excited discussions of the crowd, she is secretly happy and excited, because among the disciples of the family power, only she is still in the top 10, and she is ranked 3rd. Previously, she was ambushed by Yang Shenglong and then killed by Qin Yun. Therefore, no one would suspect that she and Qin Yun were secretly cooperating. On the way to the safe city, Qin Yun passed through a forest and suddenly sensed someone nearby. Then, a large number of arrows and crossbow bolts fell from the sky. Those arrows and crossbow bolts are very special. When they fall, they will explode with lightning and flame power. The rain of arrows engulfed the entire forest and instantly flattened it. Qin Yun was enveloped by the terrifying rain of arrows. He was unable to dodge and was killed in an instant. Only the Black Cloth Corps can release such a terrifying attack. Qin Yun woke up from his room and cursed softly. It's the Black Cloth Corps again. Those who were paying attention to the martial Dao list also realized that Qin Yun's points had suddenly decreased by 100. There is only one reason why he lost 100 points, and that is because he encountered the Black Cloth Corps. Qin Yun rested for a moment before entering the fantasy field again. Then, he appeared in the safe city and heard many people discussing his matter. Qin Yun was killed by the Black Cloth Corps. The Black Cloth Corps is indeed the strongest. Qin Yun is so heaven-defying. He will cause this fantasy field to lose balance. The Black Cloth Corps will definitely look for him frequently. If that's really the case, Qin Yun won't dare to run around in the future. When Qin Yun heard what others said, he felt very depressed. He could not help but suspect that the Black Cloth Corps was deliberately targeting him. After he put on his mask, he concealed himself and entered a tent to meet up with Long Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng, I heard that they want to join forces and chase me out of the Immortal Weapon City, right? Qin Yun asked. He is more worried about this matter. If that was the case, he would use up all his points before leaving. Yes, the seniors of the family power, the Medicine Immortal Valley, and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain will hold a meeting. Furthermore, they want the Sect Master to come forward and resolve the trouble you have caused. Chapter 607. Dagger Talisman Weapon. After Qin Yun confirmed it, he knew that he was in a bad situation. I don't know if Granny Ma can protect me this time. Qin Yun stayed in the Immortal Weapon City and did not want to leave. Long Xiaofeng shook her head and said, It's hard to say. This kind of matter is not something that Granny Ma can decide alone. After all, this matter concerns the entire Immortal Weapon City. Qin Yun clenched his fists tightly and cursed in a low voice. Those family powers are too despicable. They actually joined forces with the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain to deal with me. In particular, the Medicine Immortal Valley snatched his 4 Dao tools, which he hated the most. I made up my mind. I can always wait for them to deal with me. I'm going to fight back. Qin Yun said coldly, I will plan to deal with the Medicine Immortal Valley. I want to take back my Dao tool. Can you really do it alone? Although you are very strong, you are still too weak to fight against the Medicine Immortal Valley alone. It is not enough. It would be better if you were a martial king or martial emperor. You must know that the Medicine Immortal Valley, this kind of immortal sect, has a half-immortal expert. Long Xiaofeng let out a long sigh. She doesn't have any way to deal with Qin Yun's current predicament. Medicine Immortal Valley stole my 4 Dao tools. They have to pay the price. Qin Yun's eyes were resolute as he snorted. These guys must be studying my Dao tool right now. When Qin Yun thought of this matter, he felt infuriated. Long Xiaofeng's heart slightly trembled. She now has a good understanding of Qin Yun's methods. If Qin Yun sincerely wants to deal with the Medicine Immortal Valley, then the Medicine Immortal Valley will definitely bleed. Because Qin Yun was a Xian inscription master, he had the wildfire inscription spirit. The Xian talismans he refined were extremely lethal. Xiaofeng, did you kill any beasts during this period of time? Qin Yun asked. There are no Xian beasts, just some spirit beasts. Long Xiaofeng took out more than 10 beast corpses from her storage bag and handed them over to Qin Yun. Qin Yun put away the corpses of the spirit beasts and said, "Pay more attention to the Long family's movements." The person who took away my Dao artifact was from the Long family. Try your best to help me gather information about him. That person has a high status in our Long family. I heard that he has a very talented son. He has a Xian body and knows alchemy. He is slightly older than Lu Chongsheng and is highly valued in medicine Immortal Valley. Long Xiaofeng said, "I will continue to investigate that old guy's situation." "All right." Qin Yun nodded and left the tent. He also set up a tent in the safe city. Many people noticed him and recognized him as Qin Yun. They all came over to watch. There are also many family disciples here. When they looked at Qin Yun, they all felt incomparable hatred. After Qin Yun set up the tent, he looked at the people outside and said with a smile, "I have a berserk fire talisman here. It's a royal grade spirit talisman. If you want it, you can use 100 gene of Xian beast bones to exchange with me." Everyone was startled and a low commotion broke out. They looked at each other. Qin Yun said again, "I have the wildfire inscription spirit. The berserk fire talismans I refine are very strong. You can rest assured about this." A berserk flame symbol required 200 points. As for Qin Yun, he needed 100 gene of Xian beast bones to exchange for it. If one killed a Xian beast here, they would obtain at least 2,000 to 3,000 genes of beast bones. However, beast bones could not be exchanged for points and could not be turned into fire talismans. However, they could be exchanged from Qin Yun. This immediately caused a huge commotion. The disciples of the family powers gritted their teeth in hatred. They never expected Qin Yun to do business here. If you want a Xian artifact, you can also exchange 10,000 genes of Xian beast bones with me. Qin Yun said with a chuckle. If he had 10,000 genes of Xian beast bones, he would be able to refine quite a few things. There were no other materials in the fantasy field, so the demand for Xian beast bones was even greater. Qin Yun was actually able to refine Xian artifacts. This made everyone extremely envious. Not long after, people began to exchange Xian beast bones with Qin Yun for berserk fire talismans. A total of more than 10 people exchanged with Qin Yun, allowing him to obtain more than 1,000 genes of Xian beast bones. Qin Yun refined the corpses of the spirit beasts killed by Long Xiaofeng into various talismans and spirit artifacts. Then, he exchanged them with others for Xian beast bones. If he wanted to refine Xian talismans and Xian artifacts, he would have to use Xian beast bones. Xian beasts are extremely rare. If he were to search for them by himself, he would not be able to find them in a short period of time. Over the years, there have been many people who have killed Xian beasts. They all moved together in small teams. After killing the Xian beasts, they would split the beast bones equally. In just 2 short days, Qin Yun had exchanged for more than 10,000 genes of Xian beast bones. Now, the number of people coming to exchange has gradually decreased. Qin Yun closed his tent and began forging talismans inside. The reason why he made these preparations was to deal with the Black Cloth Corps. For example, Tian Yaolei and company, they would definitely be very cautious in protecting their own core. It would not be easy to annihilate them. If he wanted to quickly obtain points, he could only attack the mysterious and powerful Black Cloth Corps. What Qin Yun is currently refining is a very powerful talisman weapon. This is a talisman weapon I created, a totem Xian talisman weapon. Qin Yun looked at the fiery red throwing knife in his hand and chuckled. He carved a fire totem and some violent fire attribute Xian runes and star runes on a Xian flying knife. Because he has the wildfire inscription spirit, he can carve the fire totem very quickly. He has refined 20 of these throwing knife talisman weapons. When thrown, the throwing knife can also be used as a Xian weapon. If it is blocked or avoided by the opponent, it will produce a strong explosion. If the enemy does not avoid it, he will kill the enemy and then continue to kill the others. This is the magical use of talisman weapons. If it was a Xian talisman, it would explode and the explosion range would be very large. When the throwing knife talisman weapon that Qin Yun refined explodes, all the energy is controlled within a very small range. As a result, the concentration is even stronger and the power is even more violent. As long as one is at the early stage of the spirit martial realm, if they are hit by the knife, they will undoubtedly die. Qin Yun looked at the 20 throwing knife talisman weapons in his hand and smiled in satisfaction. Following that, he forged another set of armor, as long as it can defend against all kinds of explosions. He recalled the attacks of the Black Cloth Corps. They all shot out a large number of arrows, and most of them were fire attribute. If he wanted to defend against fire attribute attacks, the best way was to use fire to defend against fire. Therefore, he directly carved the fire totem and fire attribute star runes. It seems that when I forge artifacts in the future, I have to carve the totem runes into the artifacts. This will make the artifacts stronger. Qin Yun looked at the armor he had refined and was greatly inspired. He stayed in the tent for a few days, but it was very calm outside. It's time to deal with the Black Cloth Corps. If I can kill 20 black-clothed men with my 20 throwing knife talisman weapons, it will be 2,000 points. Qin Yun felt great just thinking about it. After Qin Yun walked out of the tent, he saw many people waiting for him outside. Qin Yun, do you still have the Berserk Fire Talisman? It's very powerful. I used it to deal with the Corps and killed dozens of them. A middle-aged man said. Not for the time being. Qin Yun smiled. Let's wait for a while. Many people sighed in disappointment and left one after another. Qin Yun is very confident in his Berserk Fire Talisman, which is why it is so popular. This matter will soon spread. After a period of time, his Berserk Fire Talisman will become very famous. At that time, he can sell it at a higher price. It is evening now. Qin Yun went to meet Long Xiaofeng secretly. He found out that the few great clans had really gone to find the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain. However, they have not come to the Immortal Weapon City yet. They might come a month or so. Qin Yun planned to earn a little more points in the next few days. If he really could not stay in the Immortal Weapon City, he would exchange for a Tier cultivation technique and leave. Night, Qin Yun quietly left the city and used his shadow power. He flew in the air and headed in a certain direction. I suspect that the Black Cloth Corps often take care of the top 3 of the martial Dao list. Qin Yun thought to himself, could it be that the Black Cloth Corps appear to maintain the balance of the fantasy field? Although killing the Black Cloth Corps would give one a lot of points, very few people could destroy the Black Cloth Corps. When Tian Yaolei was ranked 2nd, he was also destroyed by the Black Cloth Corps. Qin Yun flew aimlessly. Late at night, he suddenly sensed a familiar and terrifying aura. The Black Cloth Corps has appeared. Are they finally here? Qin Yun hurriedly flew into the forest on the ground and hid. It is not surprising that the Black Cloth Corps could find him, because in the fantasy field, there's a kind of talisman that can find people. As the guardian of the fantasy field, it is not strange for the Black Cloth Corps to have such a thing. Furthermore, the members of the Black Cloth Corps all possess very strong Xian tools. They're all long-range attacks, crossbows, and cannons. They're all very powerful. Just like before, the moment the Black Cloth Corps appeared, they faced Qin Yun's direction and attacked crazily. In the pitch-black night sky, a flaming rain of arrows and a large number of cannonballs suddenly appeared. In an instant, the night sky was illuminated. Boom, boom, boom. Arrows, crossbow bolts, and cannonballs completely enveloped the area where Qin Yun is located, producing a series of explosive sounds. Qin Yun had been killed by the Black Cloth Corps twice before. He understood the power of the Black Cloth Corps quite well. This time, he was prepared. He wore a special Xian tier armor to block all kinds of violent explosions and intense flames. Qin Yun held a shield in his hand to block all kinds of sharp arrows flying at him. These guys, their bows and arrows are all so terrifying. It's not easy to kill them. Qin Yun constantly cursed the Black Cloth Corps in his heart. He felt that the Black Cloth Corps was the real cheater. The things they had in their hands were all excellent long-range attack Xian tools. Soon, the first round of attacks ended. The people of the Black Cloth Corps floated in the air, and looked at Qin Yun's location. They seemed to have realized that Qin Yun was not dead. "It's my turn." Qin Yun hurriedly used the 9 extinction steps, flowing light extinction shadow, and instantly flashed over. He is less than 100 meters away from the dozens of Black Cloth Corps members. This distance is enough for him to throw out his throwing knife talisman weapon. Chapter 608. The white-masked man Black Cloth Corps reacted very quickly. They hurriedly shot all sorts of arrows and cannonballs at Qin Yun. Qin Yun also threw out 20 throwing knife talisman weapons. Under the control of Qin Yun's strongest mental power, the throwing knife talisman weapon speed was as fast as lightning. In an instant, it pierced through the bodies of more than 10 men in black. Qin Yun's points suddenly soared to 1,500 points. He had finally succeeded in killing the men in black of the Black Cloth Corps. This made him extremely excited. Qin Yun held the shield in his hand as he flew in the air. He attracted the attacks of the men in black, and at the same time, he controlled the throwing knives. The people of the Black Cloth Corps also realized how terrifying the throwing knives were. They hurriedly stopped their attacks and went to block the throwing knives. A man in black released a very strong Tao energy to form a shield to block the throwing knives. Just as he was about to block the throwing knives exploded. Boom! The sound of the small throwing knife exploding was very sharp, as if it was going to pierce through the earth and sky. It was very ear-piercing. The range of the explosion of the throwing knife talisman weapon is very small, but its power is very great. This is because it can be released by concentrating a very strong energy in a small area. Although the man in black was able to block the throwing knives, he was unable to block the explosion of the throwing knife talisman weapon. He was directly blown to smithereens. Following that, many of the throwing knives exploded one after another, producing a series of explosions. Out of the 50 black-clothed men, more than 40 of them had died. Qin Yun is extremely satisfied with the power of the throwing knife talisman weapon. He estimated that it would be good if he could kill 30 men in black. If the men in black did not block the throwing knife talisman weapon, their heads would be pierced and they would be killed. If they were to block it, the throwing knife would explode and they would be killed. The speed of the throwing knife talisman weapon is also very fast. Even if they were to dodge and escape, they would still be hit. Qin Yun has used up all of his throwing knives, and there are only a few men in black left. He leaped over and slashed with his saber, alternating between the six-style wind slayer and the common saber technique. His other hand also burst out with a huge heavenly lion claw, using the heavenly lion fighting dragon claw. No one in the Black Cloth Corps expected Qin Yun to be so terrifying. In a short period of time, they were only left with 5. After Qin Yun went over, he attacked crazily without any regard for his life. Even though he was injured, he endured the pain and desperately circulated all the Tao energy in his body. He used the strongest 9 extinction primordial force and roared as he attacked. Black Cloth Corps, you kill me twice. Now it's your turn to die. Qin Yun laughed maniacally. As he watched the black-clothed men being killed by him, he felt extremely delighted. At this moment, he also discovered that these black-clothed men of the Black Cloth Corps are all martial masters of the middle stage of the spirit martial realm. However, under his frenzied attacks, it was difficult for him to withstand them. 51 black-clothed men were killed by him in an instant. He had earned 5,000 points. He already had more than 5,000 points. Now that he had another 5,000 points, he had 10,000 points. When the disciples in the Safe City's tents saw Qin Yun's points, they all ran out of their tents one by one. It is as if they have been injected with chicken blood. They also find it hard to believe that this is real. They all knew very well that the disciples of those big corps were all scattered. It was impossible for Qin Yun to obtain so many points by killing those corps. Then there was only one possibility. The Black Cloth Corps had been annihilated. As long as they met the mysterious Black Cloth Corps, they would undoubtedly die. Qin Yun had been killed before, but now he had actually succeeded in taking revenge and annihilated the entire Black Cloth Corps. Qin Yun did not destroy the entire Black Cloth Corps. There was still the last one left, and he was also the strongest. The other members of the Black Cloth Corps were all wearing black masks. Only the last person wearing a white mask was clearly the highest-ranking guild leader. You killed me twice, and now you've been killed by me once. How do you feel? Qin Yun brandished his saber and slashed at the white-masked man. The black-clothed man did not say a word. Instead, he nimbly dodged Qin Yun's attack. Qin Yun executed the six-style Wind Slayer. His saber was extremely fast, and it was not easy to dodge. As for the white-masked man, he easily dodged it. Xiao Yun, that person's movement technique is extremely brilliant. He has already reached an extreme realm. His body can naturally react and avoid your attacks. Ling Yun said in surprise. In other words, this person doesn't need to deliberately dodge. Even if he is sleeping, his body can naturally react and dodge all kinds of fast attacks. How could this be? Is there really such a terrifying realm? Qin Yun was extremely shocked. He did not dare believe that this was true. To reach this realm, he must be at least at the half-immortal realm. Ling Yun's voice was solemn. This white-masked man is at the half-immortal realm. However, after entering the fantasy field, his cultivation was suppressed to the spirit martial realm. Qin Yun is alarmed. The leader of the Black Cloth Corps is actually in existence at the half-immortal realm. The Immortal Weapon City is an immortal sect, and there are also half-immortals. However, he did not expect that they would wander around in the fantasy field. I want to kill this guy. A strong thought immediately surged in Qin Yun's mind. On one hand, he had been killed by the Black Cloth Corps before. On the other hand, it is a rare opportunity to exchange pointers with a half-immortal. Regardless of whether this person is intentionally targeting me or not, I must kill him in order to take revenge. Qin Yun is extremely excited. His left arm suddenly shook, and a heavenly lion fighting dragon claw appeared. Shwa shwa shwa. A few illusory claw tips of the heavenly lion fighting dragon claw are like long sabers. They executed the six-style Wind Slayer and combined with the Xian saber, they slashed forward crazily. Qin Yun slashed out with both hands at the same time, and his speed has reached his limit. However, the white-masked man was still able to dodge. Yun-er! Qin Yun suddenly shouted. Ling Yun-er condensed a very strong super-gravity and released it. The white-masked man did not expect Qin Yun to have such a move. After being suppressed, he felt like he was being pressed down by a huge mountain as he fell to the ground. Qin Yun hurriedly rushed down. Using the common saber art and the heavenly lion fighting dragon claw and the Xian saber, he fiercely and quickly slashed forward. The white-masked man is very strong. After being pressed down, his body was struck a few times, but he was able to break through the gravity. Ho! The white-masked man's body suddenly overflowed with a terrifying chill. This guy didn't seem to have used any elemental power before. Now he's finally using it. He's serious. Ling Yun said, Xiao Yun, be careful. Don't get killed. The white-masked man is an expert at the half-immortal realm. Even though his cultivation is suppressed to the spirit martial realm, he is proficient in all kinds of powerful martial arts, and his combat experience is extremely rich. Qin Yun and the white-masked man fought fiercely. They are inseparable. What made Qin Yun depressed is that his Xian saber was sealed by his opponent's powerful ice-cold power and then shattered by his opponent's sword. Qin Yun, who lost his weapon, was immediately suppressed. Take advantage of the darkness and run. Ling Yun shouted and then released a strong gravity to suppress the white-masked man. With a boom, the white-masked man was pressed down hard, causing the earth to shake. Qin Yun also took the opportunity to rush into the forest that is gradually recovering. In the fantasy field, after the trees are destroyed, they can quickly recover. This is a dense forest. Qin Yun used the shadow power to hide in the darkness and ran quickly. If he was killed, he would only lose 100 points, which is nothing to Qin Yun. But he doesn't want to be killed. That is a very unpleasant thing. Qin Yun thought that he would be able to escape in an instant. Who knew that the white-masked man would chase after him? That guy should have used a person-seeking talisman, right? Qin Yun cursed in his heart. We can only run to the safe city. Ling Yuner said. Qin Yun still has 5 throwing knives, but he doesn't dare to use them easily. If they are destroyed, he'll be very sad. If I had known earlier, I would have left 2 throwing knife talisman weapons. Qin Yun is being chased very closely, and he is filled with regret. The white-masked man's movement technique is very superb. He shortened the distance little by little. It is obvious that he also wants to kill Qin Yun. In the battle just now, the white-masked man suffered quite a bit and was almost killed. Moreover, all the people in the corps were killed. This is the most infuriating thing. Qin Yun, who is running, suddenly felt that his surroundings are extremely cold. He took a closer look and saw that the trees around him have turned into ice trees. I have to think of a way. If this goes on, I will be killed. Qin Yun increasingly feels the power of the white-masked man. He doesn't have a weapon now and will be at a disadvantage if he fights. I'll try and see if I can release the tree roots on the Nether Sun Dao core here. Ling Yuner is also very anxious and quickly said. Qin Yun had used that kind of tree root to entangle people before. However, this is the fantasy field, and he has not tried to succeed. It seems to work. Ling Yun suddenly shouted happily. Prepare to fight back. The white-masked man, who is chasing Qin Yun, thought that Qin Yun would definitely be killed. Suddenly, he was entangled by many black tree roots. Qin Yun laughed and jumped back. His arm turned into a lion claw phantom, and he used heavenly lion fighting dragon claw. The white-masked man, who was tied up by the tree roots, saw Qin Yun attack and struggled for a moment before suddenly disappearing. Qin Yun's lion claw missed. K, his grandpa. Qin Yun immediately cursed. If you can't win, then leave the fantasy field. What is this? Bastard, I must kill you. Qin Yun looked around, and there is still a lot of ice here. It was released by the white-masked man. He quickly took out the spirit beast's skin and absorbed the ice energy. He wants to refine this soul-chasing talisman. As long as there is a large amount of that person's aura, he can refine the soul-chasing talisman according to that energy. I wonder if I can use it in the fantasy field? If they can use the person-seeking talisman to find me, it should not be a problem for me to use the soul-chasing talisman. Qin Yun quickly refined a soul-chasing talisman. He released the soul-chasing talisman, but it only floated in the air without any movement. That guy must have left the fantasy field. I can't sense him. Qin Yun curled his lips. Xiao Yun, do you see if there are any runes that can prevent others from tracking your soul? The principle of the person-seeking talisman should be similar to the soul-chasing talisman. When you came in, your soul was locked by that bed, so they can track your soul at any time. Ling Yuner said. She said all this to let Qin Yun think about how to avoid the pursuit of the Black Cloth Corps and then counterattack. The Black Cloth Corps will definitely not let this go. They will definitely come again. Ling Yuner said again. Yes, if I can avoid being tracked by them, then I can use the soul-chasing talisman to find the Black Cloth Corps and then sneak attack them. Chapter 609. Jianren Qin Yun was very curious about the identity of the white-masked woman. A person in the half-immortal realm actually has the time to lead a small corps in the fantasy field. In order to not be counterattacked by the Black Cloth Corps, Qin Yun rushed back to the safe city overnight. There are many people in the safe city. They were originally in the tents, but now they ran out and discussed about Qin Yun's sudden increase of 5,000 points. They found it hard to believe that Qin Yun could destroy a Black Cloth Corps. This kind of power was unacceptable to them. Many people worked hard to obtain 500 points, but Qin Yun obtained 5,000 points in one night. This made many people envious and jealous. After Qin Yun returned, he hurriedly entered the tent and began refining the Berserk Fire Talisman. He now needed a large amount of Shen Beast Bones to refine Flying Shen artifacts. He planned to destroy the Black Cloth Corps once again. Because he had been killed twice by the Black Cloth Corps, he had to kill back twice to feel better. Furthermore, he did not truly destroy the Black Cloth Corps. The Corps leader had already escaped. In the Immortal Weapon Palace, when Tian Yaolei heard the news, he smashed a stone table in the courtyard. That bastard Qin Yun. Is there really no one who could stop him? When Long Quanghong learned that Qin Yun had 10,000 points, he was extremely jealous. He found it hard to swallow the anger in his heart. Soon, as long as the elders are done discussing, they will come to the entrance of the Immortal Weapon Palace together and force the sect master to appear. With the current situation of the Immortal Weapon Palace, they would definitely not dare to start a war with the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain and the Medicine Immortal Valley. At that time, Sect Master will definitely send Qin Yun out of the Immortal Weapon City. Yang Shenglong clenched his fists and said while gnashing his teeth. Tian Yaolei furiously said, "When the time comes, I will definitely swallow that bastard Qin Yun alive. Do you think there will be any changes? What if you don't agree?" Long Quanghong said with a frown. "Although I hate that bastard Qin Yun, I have to admit that he is still very capable, especially in the area of refining talismans. He is extremely talented, and he even grasps the wildfire inscription spirit. If the Immortal Weapon City gives up on Qin Yun, they will not be besieged by the two great immortal sections. Furthermore, they will obtain rich benefits. If Sect Master is not a fool, he will definitely give up on Qin Yun." Tian Yaolei said, What if Sect Master doesn't give up on Qin Yun? Then is there still a need for us families to stay in the Immortal Weapon City?" Long Quanghong is very worried about this problem because the head of their Long family's patriarch has already been hung up by Qin Yun. However, Granny Ma is still shielding Qin Yun. This was also something that made the Long family very angry. If the Sect Master is unwilling, should we threaten the Sect Master? Just say that all of our family powers will withdraw from the Immortal Weapon City. Yang Shenglong said, "Are you stupid? Our elders hold important positions in the Immortal Weapon City and also have many industries in the Immortal Weapon City. If we withdraw, we will suffer heavy losses." Tian Yaolei said coldly, "We don't need to worry about this matter. Leave everything to the elders to handle. Qin Yun is not always in the fantasy field. He would occasionally come out to check on Yang Yang, the Ninth Heaven Xian Sparrow. Mo was in charge of feeding Yang Yang the dragon meat. Although Yang Yang was the Ninth Heaven Sparrow, he was very obedient to Mo. Big brother, Yang Yang is sleeping. She is surrounded by a large fireball. She should be transforming." Mo happily transmitted her voice to Qin Yun. Really, Qin Yun is also secretly excited. If Yang Yang evolves, she will definitely have some other abilities. This is something he is looking forward to. Qin Yun checked some star and moon runes and Xian runes outside. He also found 2 runes that can conceal soul energy. They are Xian runes and moon runes. The effects are similar, and they can be superimposed together to make the ability stronger. After Qin Yun found a suitable rune, he returned to the fantasy field and began refining the Xian talisman. This kind of rune can make the soul in a state of suspended animation. As long as the soul's activity is hidden, it will not release soul fluctuations, and they will not be able to find me. Qin Yun quickly used the last bit of Xian bee skin to make the Xian talisman. Carving Xian runes is not difficult. The difficult part is the moon rune. If only I had the Moon Lady inscription spirit, I would be able to carve the moon rune easily. I can easily carve the moon rune. Qin Yun yearned for it. How can it be so easy to obtain the Moon Lady inscription spirit? Even in the Immortal Desolate, it rarely appears. Ling Yun said with a chuckle. The Starlord inscription spirit that Big Sister Yang helped you get is also very good. You should be satisfied. Qin Yun has the Wildfire inscription spirit and the Beast King inscription spirit. If Yang Shi you gave him the Starlord inscription spirit in the future, he would have 3 kinds of inscription spirits. Any one of these 3 inscription spirits would make those Dao inscription masters envious. Qin Yun spent more than half a day to refine a soul-concealing Xian talisman. He placed the talisman in his bosom and stuck it to his body. Gradually, it produced a special kind of soul power. Qin Yun quickly sensed that his soul is wrapped in a layer of transparent power. Success? Qin Yun is not sure now. In the next 2 to 3 days, Qin Yun used the Berserk Fire Talisman to exchange for Xian Beast Bones to refine throwing knife talisman weapons. Because the matter of him killing the Black Cloth Core was known by many people, the Berserk Fire Talisman he refined became even more popular. After preparing for several days, Qin Yun refined 30 throwing knife talisman weapons, 2 Xian sabers, and a few body securing talismans. At this time, the soul-chasing talisman he made earlier also had a reaction. The white-masked woman has appeared. Qin Yun looked at the sky. Although it is afternoon, he still quickly left the safe city. Tian Yaolei, Hua Xia and company did not enter the fantasy field because they were worried that Qin Yun would have a person seeking talisman to lock onto them and kill them for fun. This would also cause them to lose a large amount of points. They all planned to wait for Qin Yun to be chased out of the Immortal Weapon City before entering the fantasy field to obtain points and rush into the top 10 to participate in a martial arts tournament. After Qin Yun left the city, he followed the direction of the soul-chasing talisman and ran in a certain direction. After a few hours of running, he arrived at an area filled with volcanoes. At this moment, the sky had darkened. He was able to use shadow power to hide himself. Qin Yun, who was hiding, took out the soul-chasing talisman and sensed that the white-masked woman is nearby. He slowed down his pace and followed the direction of the soul-chasing talisman. He headed toward the volcano that was spewing lava and ashes. A group of black-clothed men appeared near the volcano. What surprised Qin Yun is that in front of the group of black-clothed men stood a tall, round-faced woman. The round-faced woman's face is very beautiful. Her face is red from the night's magma. Her fair skin makes her look refreshing and beautiful. She was originally an adorable woman, but her adorable and beautiful face had an ice-cold and arrogant expression. She has a waist-length braid, and at the end of her braid is a dagger that shines with a cold light. Just as Qin Yun is curious about who this woman is, a black-clothed man walked out and said, "Jian Ruyan, the gap between you and first place is very big. We will give you a chance to catch up to first place, but you must defeat us one by one." From the voice of the black-clothed man, it can be heard that he is an old man. The group of black-clothed men are all wearing black masks. There are no holes in the masks, making it impossible to see their eyes. It is the same for the white mask captain. His eyes cannot be seen. Qin Yun found it very strange. The person who spoke is not the white mask captain, but a black-clothed old man. Jian Ruyan's voice is cold and filled with arrogance as she said, "Are you serious? It's too easy to defeat all of you one by one. We will give you this opportunity, but you also have to promise us that you will join the Lawkeeper Hall." The black-clothed man said, "Sure, I have been waiting for this opportunity." Jian Ruyan said with a sneer, "Are you guys doing this to make me suppress Qin Yun?" "No, it's just that Qin Yun is too arrogant. We need to suppress his arrogance." The black-clothed man said, "I will. You can start fighting with me now." Jian Ruyan seems to be impatient. Her eyes flashed, and 2 white lights shot out from her big eyes. Then, they condensed into a white longsword. Qin Yun is astonished and hurriedly asked Ling Yun, "What's going on?" "That's a mental sword. This woman can actually transform her mind into a sword. This is also a very terrifying sword cultivator who focuses on mental power." Ling Yin'er is also somewhat astonished. "Jian Ruyan, your Dao core can transform into a sword, and your mind can also transform into a sword. This is a dual extreme sword cultivator, rare. The black-clothed man seems to be very happy. Cut the crap. Jian Ruyan gripped the mental sword, and her entire person became even more cold and arrogant. With a light shout, she stabbed forward with her sword. Jian Ruyan's sword technique is also very strange. When the sword stabbed out, it actually turned into a white light and pierced through the black-clothed man's head, instantly killing him. Qin Yun closed his eyes and looked at Jian Ruyan's points. It has increased by 100. This black cloth core is really biased. When they met me, they shot out all kinds of arrows and cannonballs from all directions. When facing Jian Ruyan, they actually competed fairly with her. Qin Yun is very unhappy in his heart. He had encountered the black cloth core 3 times, and each time, he was crazily attacked by them. Only last time, he was fully prepared and was not killed. Furthermore, he successfully killed them. Do you think I can successfully kill Jianruyan with my throwing knives? Qin Yun hurriedly asked. If this goes on, Jianruyan will definitely be able to kill everyone in this core and obtain 5,000 points. This is Qin Yun's prey. He cannot let Jianruyan obtain it. Furthermore, after Jianruyan obtained 5,000 points, she would use them to exchange for resources to increase her own strength. At that time, she would definitely suppress him. Jianruyan's mental power is very strong. Your throwing knives are controlled by mental power. She will definitely be able to dodge them. If you use a throwing knife talisman weapon, you might be able to kill her. Ling Yuner said. All right, I'll use the throwing knife talisman weapon. Qin Yun carefully took out the throwing knife talisman weapon. Jianruyan held onto the white mental power. Her eyes are filled with arrogance. She looked at the group of black-clothed men and shouted, Next! Chapter 610. Successful kill. Just as Jianruyan shouted for the next one, Qin Yun threw out the throwing knife talisman weapon. Boo! Jianruyan shouted angrily and then brandished her sword at Qin Yun's throwing knife. It has to be said that her reaction is very fast. The moment the throwing knife left her hand, she sensed the fluctuation of mental power. If it was anyone else, they would not be able to retaliate even if they sensed Qin Yun's sneak attack. But Jianruyan can. She turned around quickly and beautifully. The sword in her hand followed the throwing knife that she sensed and swiftly slashed out. Boom! Jianruyan's sword slashed at the throwing knife talisman weapon. Immediately, a burst of violent flames erupted, covering a radius of more than 10 meters. Jianruyan and a black-clothed old man were immediately engulfed by the flames and disappeared from sight. Qin Yun looked at his points. It has increased by 102 points. This meant that he had killed Jianruyan and a black-clothed man. It's Qin Yun, someone shouted loudly. His voice was filled with fear. Swish! 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 Qin Yun's throwing knife talisman weapon also flew out like lightning. He released 25 throwing knife talisman weapons at once and instantly killed 25 black-clothed men. Then, he hurriedly threw out 2 body-securing talismans and froze more than 10 black-clothed men. He used the throwing knife talisman weapon to pierce through the dozen black-clothed men. Qin Yun wanted to do his best to ensure that the throwing knife talisman weapon would not explode and kill the black-clothed men. This would save him more throwing knife talisman weapons. He still has 4 throwing knife talisman weapons and 2 body-securing talismans. The black-clothed men never expected Qin Yun to be in the vicinity. They had previously used the person-seeking talisman to search for Qin Yun, but the talisman did not respond. They thought that Qin Yun was not in the fantasy field. However, Qin Yun is near them. Explode! When Qin Yun saw that the black-clothed man had reacted, he hurriedly controlled the throwing knife talisman weapon to fly to various places, blowing up the remaining dozen black-clothed men to prevent them from leaving the fantasy field. The explosion of the throwing knife talisman weapon seemed to have caused the nearby volcano to become even more ferocious. Damn it, it's this bastard who didn't die again. Qin Yun looked at the white-masked man. The white-masked woman's entire body was trembling. She seemed to be extremely angry because the Black Cloth Corps had been almost annihilated. This time, it was not them who took the initiative to find Qin Yun. It was Qin Yun who found them and even ambushed them. The people of the Black Cloth Corps are furious and shocked. They were astonished. Why didn't they sense Qin Yun approaching? Why was Qin Yun able to find them? One must know that their Black Cloth Corps knew the fantasy field like the back of their hands. They had roamed the fantasy field for many years, but they had never encountered such an evil thing. There is another person who is angry. It is Jianruyan. She knew that she was killed by a sneak attack, but she didn't know who killed her. When she entered the fantasy field again and arrived at the safe city, she saw many people discussing Qin Yun in surprise. Qin Yun's points increased by 4,900, reaching a total of 15,000 points. It was simply heaven-defying. Jian Ruyan immediately realized that the person who killed her was Qin Yun. For Qin Yun's points to skyrocket in a short period of time, it was obvious that he had instantly wiped out the Black Cloth Corps. The Black Cloth Corps has 51 people. Jian Ruyan killed one, and there are 50 left. Qin Yun killed 49 of them. There is still a white mask captain left. Now, Qin Yun is looking at the white masked man. The white masked man was so angry that his body trembled for a moment before he calmed down. He seemed to be waiting for Qin Yun to attack. Qin Yun took out a Xian saber with a grave expression. The white masked man did not make a sound. Instead, he extended his hand and gestured for Qin Yun to come over. He wanted Qin Yun to attack first. "You cowardly bastard. I'm not going to fight with a shameless person like you." After Qin Yun finished cursing, he turned around and ran. Last time, he almost killed the white masked man, but he suddenly left the fantasy field. The white masked man and the Black Cloth Corps are very special existences. They seem to be in charge of training the disciples here, so if they leave without permission, there will be no punishment. Qin Yun did not trust the white masked man. If he were to fight to the end and run away, he would have fought for nothing. Just like that, Qin Yun ran as fast as he could. He hid in the darkness, and without looking back, he shook off the white masked man in an instant. To deal with this guy, I have to sneak attack. It's not that Qin Yun doesn't really want to fight. He just doesn't want to confront the white masked man head on. That's right, that guy can run. There's no point in fighting him head on. Ling Yun agreed with Qin Yun's idea. After chasing for a while, the white masked man lost his target and stomped his feet in anger. Qin Yun hid and did not move. Although this guy is at the half-immortal realm, after entering the fantasy field, all aspects of him are weakened. As long as you hide well, you won't be discovered. Ling Yun said. Although the white masked man lost his target, he did not give up. He searched for various traces and carefully moved forward. Qin Yun deliberately hid in a place with thick volcanic ash, and it was late at night, allowing him to hide perfectly. This guy is getting closer. Qin Yun hurriedly controlled his heartbeat and stood there motionless. What surprised Qin Yun is that the white masked man is only half a meter away from him, but he did not notice him. The white masked man slowly moved forward and suddenly felt danger. Qin Yun also attacked. He struck with his palm. He used vibration thunder, fire Dao power, and there is also a throwing knife talisman weapon in his palm. Boom! Qin Yun's palm landed on the white masked man's head, and two explosions occurred at the same time. Vibration, thunder, fire, Dao power, and throwing knife talisman weapon self-destructed. The white masked man's upper body was blown to pieces. As for Qin Yun's arm, it was also blown up. However, it is fine because this is the fantasy field. Most importantly, he had finally killed the white masked man. Ha ha! Damn shameless bastard. Your dog head has finally been blown up by me. Qin Yun laughed heartily. Just as he closed his eyes to check his points, his body trembled. He thought that killing the white masked man would only increase his points by 100. However, he originally had 15,000 points, but now it has become 20,000. Killing the white masked man actually gave him a reward of 5,000 points. Damn, this is too awesome, haha. Qin Yun laughed even more happily. In one night, Qin Yun's points increased explosively by 10,000 points. This caused the safe city to fall into a state of madness filled with jealousy and envy. The speed at which Qin Yun's points increased has actually broken through the sky. This has already exceeded the imagination of many people. In the safe city, many people began to doubt their lives. What the hell is going on? Could it be that Qin Yun killed the Black Cloth Corps twice in one night? That's impossible. If the Black Cloth Corps is killed once, they will definitely not be at the same place after they revive. Therefore, it will take time for them to rush to Qin Yun's place. Qin Yun increased his points by 5,000 in an instant. It's different from the previous increase. Previously, it was 100 or 1 or 2,000 increase. What the hell is going on? Could it be that someone is biased towards Qin Yun? This is not fair. Many family clan disciples began to shout loudly. Just as everyone was filled with doubts, Jian Ruyan said coldly, "You bunch of idiots. don't you know that the leader of the Black Cloth Corps is worth 5,000 points? That bastard Qin Yun killed the leader of the Black Cloth Corps. It seems like he failed to kill the leader last time. This time he succeeded. Jian Rian thought of how she was killed by Qin Yun's sneak attack and felt very unhappy. Jian Rian, you lost 2 points. What happened? Long Xiaofeng walked over and asked curiously. I was ambushed by that bastard Qin Yun. Originally, the Black Cloth Corps wanted to fight me one-on-one, but this guy used some unknown method to kill me and a black-clothed man. When Jian Rian spoke of this matter, her anger overflowed to the heavens. This caused the people here to be shocked once again. Qin Yun actually ran to sneak attack the Black Cloth Corps and even annihilated the entire Black Cloth Corps. Just thinking about it made people boil with excitement. Although I was killed by Qin Yun, my strength is not weaker than his. If Qin Yun doesn't use those Xian talismans, he wouldn't be my match at all. Jian Rian is very confident in her own strength. Everyone was intimidated by the angry Jian Rian and did not dare to say anything. Jian Rian looked at a building and quickly walked over. I want to exchange for a person seeking talisman to find Qin Yun. Just as she was about to go over, a black-clothed man suddenly appeared. Jian Rian, don't waste your points. We also don't know what kind of sinister method Qin Yun used to completely conceal himself. The black-clothed man who suddenly appeared wore a black mask, and his voice was hoarse. One could barely make out the voice of an old man. When everyone saw this attire, they all distanced themselves in surprise, because they knew very well that this old man is a member of the Black Cloth Corps. When Long Xiaofeng heard this, she was secretly alarmed. She immediately thought that this was the effect of Qin Yun refining Xian talismans. Really? Jian Rian said in surprise. And our guild leader is also very angry because of this matter. He is thinking of a way to find him and teach him a lesson. The black-clothed man said. A family clan disciple said, Qin Yun is so abnormal that even your Black Cloth Corps can't suppress him. Wouldn't letting him stay here be a violation of fairness? Hurry up and chase him out. That's right, restrict Qin Yun from entering the fantasy field. With Qin Yun here, we won't be able to survive. Many family clan disciples began to shout. Jian Rian is unwilling. If Qin Yun was restricted from entering the fantasy field, how could she take revenge? You bunch of trash, be quiet. Jian Rian immediately shouted angrily. Who do you think you are? Even if you were to lie down at the city gate and let Qin Yun kill you, he wouldn't even bother to kill trash like you. Well, why do you have to say that Qin Yun is a threat to your survival? Even if it's me, killing you would be a waste of energy, much less someone like Qin Yun who specializes in killing people from the Black Cloth Corps. Jian Rian's words made those family clan disciples feel ashamed. They are secretly puzzled that Jian Rian is actually speaking up for Qin Yun. But Qin Yun has occupied one of the top 10 positions. A family clan disciple said unconvinced. Chapter 611. 611, Chapter 611, Piercing Heaven Finger. Those family power disciples said that they were worried that Qin Yun would threaten them, but now none of them said a word. Qin Yun indeed looked down on them, because with Qin Yun's strength, only by dealing with the Black Cloth Corps would he be able to obtain more points. Jian Rian looked at Jian Mang and said, Jian Mang, Qin Yun can be considered your friend. Do me a favor and invite him out to fight me. I'll give a try. Jian Mang is also not confident. Give a try? You must invite him out. This guy sneak attacked and killed me. I must defeat him, Jian Rian said coldly. This bastard always likes to play tricks. Jian Mang shook his head and said, Sister Yin, it's best if you don't provoke him, lest you form a great enmity with him. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Qin Yun can't be a sore loser, right? Jian Rian said, I'm just afraid that you can't afford to lose. Jian Mang smiled. Bullshit. How could I lose to him? Jian Rian immediately became unhappy. Help me invite him out. We'll compete outside the safe city. I want everyone to see my strength. I'll see if I can meet him. Jian Mang sighed. That's easy. Just stick a note outside his room. Jian Rian said. There's no need to stick any note. Qin Yun suddenly appeared and said with a smile. Qingyun, why are you here? You should be quite far from the safe city, right? Did you get killed? When Jianmeng heard Qingyun's voice, he hurriedly checked the martial Dao list. Qingyun's points have indeed decreased by 100. Qingyun chuckled and said, I was killed by the leader of the Black Cloth Corps, but it's nothing. I've earned so many points anyway. His current points are 19,900. Qingyun, it's good that you're here. Hurry up and fight me outside the city. When Jianruyan saw Qingyun, her face immediately turned cold. Her eyes were filled with anger and killing intent as she pointed her sword at Qingyun. I'm not interested. I want exchange for a cultivation technique. Qingyun laughed heartily as he walked towards a building. He currently had 19,900 points, which was considered a lot. Jianruyan is infuriated and immediately rushed in front of Qingyun to block his path. Qingyun, no matter what, you must compete with me. You kill me with a sneak attack, so what? I refuse to accept this. Jianruyan said coldly. I won't compete. What do you do to me? Qingyun mischievously stuck out his tongue at Jianruyan and made a face. His lowly appearance is asking for a beating. Jianruyan's jade-like hand holding the sword is slightly trembling. It is as if she wants to stab Qingyun to death. This was a safe city. If they fought here, their points would be reset to 0. Haha, I won't fight you. I'll kill you with a sneak attack. That's my ability. Besides, I've also been ambushed and killed a few times. Qingyun looked at the black-clothed man and said with a look of disdain, The Black Cloth Corps sneak attacked me before. Not long ago, that bastard leader of the Black Cloth Corps suddenly sneak attacked me and killed me. You guys don't know that the Black Cloth Corps likes to cheat. Their leader was killed by me. When I entered the fantasy field, he shouldn't have been there. However, he appeared beside me and killed me in an instant. Also, when that cowardly leader of the Black Cloth Corps fought with me, he was about to be killed, but he suddenly left the fantasy field. How infuriating! Qingyun's voice is filled with resentment as he looked at the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man did not speak because he had nothing to say. After all, what Qingyun said is the truth. Everyone is secretly astonished. The confrontation between Qingyun and the Black Cloth Corps is far more intense than they had imagined. Furthermore, it is a common occurrence. Jianruyan stomped her feet and shouted, I don't care. In short, you have to fight me. I want to win against you. I'm currently number 1 on the martial Dao list. It's natural for me to be stronger than you. If you have the ability, then take first place. Qingyun laughed mischievously and then made a face at Jianruyan. It is clear that he is provoking Jianruyan. To be honest, Qingyun is rather jealous of Jianruyan. That is because the Black Cloth Corps had treated her so well previously. It was obvious that they were giving her points. And every time Qingyun thought of the deep enmity between him and the Black Cloth Corps, he felt extremely unhappy. Every time he met him, he would use the most violent attack to kill him. Jianruyan is so angry that her delicate body is trembling. She gritted her teeth, and her eyes are filled with killing intent. Qingyun chuckled as he swaggered towards the building that sells martial arts cultivation techniques. At that moment, Jianruyan shouted, Qingyun, as long as you fight with me, regardless of whether you win or lose, I will give you 10,000 genes of Xian beast bones. How about it? Qingyun hurriedly stopped in his tracks. He only has 4 throwing knife talisman weapons in his hands. He needs to replenish some. With enough throwing knife talisman weapons, he would be able to quickly kill the Black Cloth Corps when he meets them. You have 10,000 genes of Xian beast bones? Qingyun looked at Jianruyan and said with a frown, You don't have any storage magic treasure on you. Where did you get 10,000 genes of Xian beast bones? I have a mental space, a storage space condensed from mental power. I was born with it, and it can be used even in the fantasy field. As Jianruyan spoke, she took out many Xian beast bones. Give me 20,000 genes, and I'll fight you, Qingyun said with a smile. He is also astonished by Jianruyan's mysterious talent. I don't have that much, only around 15,000 genes. Jianruyan gritted her teeth and said, As long as you fight with me, I'll give it all to you. Qin Yun smiled. No problem. When everyone saw that Qin Yun was going to compete with Jian Ruyan, they became excited and hurriedly rushed towards the city gate. They are all filled with admiration for Qin Yun. He agreed to fight, but he was actually able to obtain many Xian beast bones. From this, it can be seen that Jian Ruyan really wants to kill Qin Yun. Qin Yun and Jian Ruyan left the city. Jian Ruyan is using her mental sword while Qin Yun is using a Xian saber. It is not too good. You are not allowed to use any kind of throwing knife. Jian Ruyan said. All right. Qin Yun also promised Jian Ruyan. Although you haven't given me the Xian beast bones yet, I believe that you will definitely not go back on your word. I'll give it to you now, Jian Ruyan said, and quickly took out a pile of Xian beast bones. Heroine, you are truly forthright, Qin Yun said with a chuckle, and hurriedly put away the Xian beast bones. Jian Ruyan coldly snorted. Can you fight me with ease now? And I hope that after you lose, you won't cry. Qin Yun laughed out loud. His voice is filled with ridicule. You use so many Xian beast bones to challenge me, just to let everyone see you being defeated by me. You are truly seeking humiliation. I will cut you into pieces. Jian Ruyan stomped her feet in anger and charged at Qin Yun. When she is 2 to 3 meters away from Qin Yun, the mental sword in her hand has already stabbed out. Whoosh! A ball of white light flashed out. It is a strange mental power that surged out from the mental sword. When Qin Yun was enveloped by that power, he felt his head become a little dizzy. Quickly dodge! Ling Yuner shouted. Qin Yun hurriedly used 9 extinction steps, flowing light extinction shadow, and instantly distanced himself from that place. Jian Ruyan also expected that Qin Yun would dodge. Her reaction is extremely swift and violent. In an instant, she arrived beside Qin Yun and stabbed at him with her sword. Qin Yun executed the common saber art and slashed at Jian Ruyan's incoming sword, blocking it to the side. What he did not expect is that when his saber touched the white mental sword, the sword flashed and burst out with a white light. It caused him to feel a stabbing pain all over his body, as if his body has been stabbed countless times. Die! Jian Ruyan shouted loudly and stabbed at Qin Yun's head, killing him. Everyone immediately burst into an uproar. They are incomparably shocked by this. Many people here have seen Qin Yun's terrifying strength. But now, Jian Ruyan seems to be very frightening as well. She actually killed Qin Yun in such a short period of time. The most powerful aspect of Jian Ruyan is her mental sword. It can produce a very strong mental power attack. Qin Yun probably did not expect this. Therefore, after suffering the mental attack, just now he was caught off guard for a moment and was killed. The black-clothed man said. From his voice, it could be heard that he admires Jian Ruyan very much. When Jian Ruyan saw that Qin Yun was killed, she coldly snorted and said, This Qin Yun only has this much strength. In the end, he is just an inscription master. If he doesn't use talismans, he doesn't have any strength. After Qin Yun was killed, he immediately entered the fantasy field. I can't be bothered to fight with that innocent and naive woman. Qin Yun is in the safe city. He hopped towards a building. He wants to exchange for a Tian-tier cultivation technique. Jian Ruyan is still very strong. However, defeating her is very tiring. Furthermore, I would be tortured by mental attacks. It would be better to just be killed by her, and I would only lose 2 points. Ling Yuner laughed. And you obtained 15,000 genes of Xian beast bone. This deal is very profitable. Qin Yun is too lazy to fight. He also does not want to be entangled by Jian Ruyan to avoid provoking the Jian family. That's why he deliberately got killed by Jian Ruyan. He entered the building and picked out a Tian-tier martial art. He discovered that the most expensive one cost 15,000 points, and it is a high-grade Tian-tier martial art. The cheapest Tian-tier martial art is low-grade, and it also costs 3,000 to 4,000 points. Yuner, what cultivation technique should I choose? Qin Yun looked at the cultivation techniques and felt confused. Let me think about it, Ling Yuner said. Qin Yun stood at the counter and looked at a booklet. On it were the names and introductions of Tian-tier martial arts. There are not many high-grade Tian-tier martial arts, only about 10. Let's choose the piercing heavenly finger. Ling Yuner said. This is also the most expensive and strongest. Qin Yun's points are relatively easy to obtain. Even 15,000 points is nothing to him. He exchanged for the Tian-tier martial art, piercing heavenly finger, and then obtained a pearl. He permeated his mental power into the pearl, and the mantra of the piercing heavenly finger entered his mind. This piercing heavenly finger is really powerful, but it's not easy to master. There are a total of 8 finger techniques. Qin Yun frowned as he pondered. He wanted to grasp the essentials, but he couldn't. Chapter 612. Fantasy Domain Immortal Pawn. Just as Qin Yun walked out, he felt the soul-chasing talisman inside his clothes move. The white masked woman has appeared. After he was killed by the white masked woman, he wanted to use the soul-chasing talisman to track her, but there was no reaction. Now that the soul-chasing talisman has reacted, it means that the white masked woman has entered the fantasy field. Qin Yun's points suddenly disappeared by 15,000. When many people realized this, they exclaimed in envy. They all knew that Qin Yun had exchanged for Tian-tier martial arts. However, they did not know how many Tian-tier martial arts he had exchanged for. Although the disciples here knew that Qin Yun had exchanged for many Tian-tier martial arts, they were not worried, because Tian-tier martial arts are not that easy to master. Without a year and a half, it would be impossible to learn the basics. Qin Yun had originally planned to refine some throwing knife talisman weapons. However, the soul-chasing talisman reacted. He hurriedly left the city to chase after the white-masked woman. That is a captain. Killing him would give him 5,000 points. Although it was difficult to kill, Qin Yun treated it as a pleasure. After leaving the city, Qin Yun flew in the air at his fastest speed. He felt excited when he thought of killing the white-masked woman again. Previously, when Qin Yun obtained 20,000 points, the people who were most envious and angry should be Tian Yaolei and company. It was not easy for them to obtain points. Because of Qin Yun's actions, 1,000 or 2,000 points were deducted. The disciples of the family powers and Huaxia are discussing this matter in the same courtyard. When they saw Qin Yun's points increasing crazily, they wished that they could skin Qin Yun alive. Qin Yun's points have decreased by 15,000. This bastard, what is going on? Even the Black Cloth Corps was beaten up by him. Long Quanghong cursed in a low voice. He exchanged for a Tian-tier martial art, but it's useless. He's going to be finished soon. In a few days, our elders will return. At that time, they will be together with the people from the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain. Qin Yun will soon be forced to leave the Immortal Weapon City. Tian Yaolei clenched his fist and broke a tree with a punch. Qin Yun has angered the Black Cloth Corps. I heard that the Black Cloth Corps are the sect master's men. Yang Shenglong laughed sinisterly. This time he's dead for sure. The sect master will definitely not protect him. A black-clothed old man from the Black Cloth Corps is very dissatisfied with Qin Yun. He also said that their leader is very angry. Huaxia said with a smile, the leader of the Black Cloth Corps is so angry that he ignored the rules of the fantasy field and targeted Qin Yun. Huaxia, did you find out Granny Ma's attitude in the Lawkeeper Hall? Granny Ma should know about the matter of us forcing the sect master to chase Qin Yun away, right? Tian Yaolei asked. I don't know what that old woman means. In short, no matter what her attitude is, it's useless. In the end, the sect master will definitely chase Qin Yun out of the Immortal Weapon City. Huaxia is very certain. He said with a smile, rumor has it that the people in the Black Cloth Corps are all trusted aides of the sect master. There are even disciples of the sect master. They were ambushed and killed by Qin Yun. They must be very angry. Long Quanghong laughed loudly and said, Qin Yun is finished. This fellow still doesn't know his own situation. He is pushing himself into the abyss step by step. Even old woman Ma won't be able to protect him. When the time comes, as long as I say flowery words, that little girl, Lu Jingmeng, will be mine. Huaxia is even more pleased with himself as he chuckled sinisterly. All right, That woman Jian Ruyan actually killed Qin Yun. I have to say, this woman is really powerful. Yang Shenlong sighed. I killed her twice last time. The people of the Jian family have always been so terrifying. What's so surprising about that? However, this is a good thing. Qin Yun has offended Jian Ruyan. With Jian Ruyan's position in the Jian family, the Jian family will definitely not have a good impression of Qin Yun. Tian Yaolei sneered. Why don't the Jian family go to the Sword Immortal Pavilion? Why did they come here to join the fun? Otherwise, this would be our world. Long Quanghong coldly snorted. Because the Immortal Weapon City has the Immortal Weapon Fantasy Field, Immortal Fire Pool, Immortal Weapon Spirit Pagoda, especially the Immortal Weapon Spirit Pagoda, it is very attractive. Tian Yaolei said. Long Quanghong said, Let's go. Let's enter the fantasy field so that others won't say that we are afraid of Qin Yun. Hua Xie also nodded and said, We will form a super corps to deal with Qin Yun. I want to see if we can rope in Jian Ruyan. If we succeed, we will be invincible. Qin Yun is flying on a very familiar road. This road seems very familiar. Qin Yun looked around and thought to himself. The last time you went to attack the Huatian Corps, you walked this road. Ling Yun said, If I'm not wrong, it should be that world of ice and snow up ahead. Captain White Masked Man is inside. Qin Yun also recalled Long Xiaofeng saying that the depths of the world of ice and snow are very mysterious and difficult to enter. It's very possible. Maybe we can find the immortal origin in the depths of the world of ice and snow. Ling Yun suddenly became excited. Xiao Yun, you must go in and take a look. All right. Qin Yun is also filled with anticipation. His biggest goal in entering the Immortal Weapon City is to obtain the immortal origin. Now that he has cultivated a Xian body, as long as he takes another step forward, he will be able to cultivate an immortal body. At that time, Xieqiru will ask him to do something. It is difficult to walk in the world of ice and snow, but Qin Yun has a special armor on his body that allows him to resist the cold. If his heavenly lion Xian body is useful here, as long as it is not a particularly powerful ice and fire power, he is not afraid. The armor he is wearing is carved with a fire totem, and the protection it releases is very effective in dealing with this very cold environment. The soul-chasing talisman is still very active. The captain should still be there. Qin Yun looked at the soul-chasing talisman in the blizzard, and after confirming the direction, he continued to move forward. This captain is a half-immortal. He must have a very high status in the Immortal Weapon City. Now that he has stayed in the depths of the world of ice and snow for so long, he should be absorbing the power of the immortal origin. Ling Yun guessed. In this fantasy field, there should be a place that can connect to reality. Qin Yun suddenly frowned. If there is such a place, it should be the place where the sun and moon immortal bed is located. Ling Yun said in surprise. Xiao Yun, this world of ice and snow is a barrier. In order to prevent other disciples from passing through, there must be a big secret hidden inside. Qin Yun became more and more excited. He knew that his situation was not very good, and it was very likely that he would be driven out of the Immortal Weapon City. So he simply threw caution to the wind and created a big event. This kind of place is not difficult for me. Qin Yun quickened his pace and rushed forward against the violent wind and snow. 3 days passed. Qin Yun could not take another step forward because there is a barrier here. There is a barrier here. It seems that the protection here is stronger than we thought. Ling Yun smiled. The immortal origin should be here. I will try using the mysterious penetration divine ability. Qin Yun quickly used the mysterious penetration divine ability and easily passed through the barrier. Great! Ling Yun shouted excitedly when she saw Qin Yun succeed. After Qin Yun passed through the barrier, he discovered that it was no longer a world of ice and snow. Instead, it was a very serene and beautiful valley. The valley was surrounded by icebergs, but the valley was filled with lush trees and colorful, beautiful flowers could be seen everywhere. In the middle of the valley, there is an iceberg more than 100 meters high, which looks very abrupt. This iceberg has a cave entrance. Qin did not go over, worried that someone would come out from inside. The white-masked woman is still very strong and very sinister. If he was discovered, he would be the one to die. It is now evening. Qin Yin waited until it was dark and hid in the darkness and entered the cave. Although it is an iceberg, the cave is warm and the immortal energy is also very rich. The immortal energy is really rich. It seemed that we guessed right. The immortal origin is inside. Ling Yin'er said, Xiao Yun, don't be discovered, lest they reinforce this place in the future. I'll try my best to hide. Qin Yin walked in the dark cave with a throwing knife talisman weapon in his hand. If he was discovered, he could guarantee that he would kill the other party. At the end of this passage is a very thick stone door, and there are several barriers on the stone door. Maybe inside is the place where the immortal origin and the fantasy field are connected. Ling Yin'er said, the operation of the fantasy field consumes a lot of energy. Only the immortal origin can sustain this kind of consumption. Qin Yin took a deep breath and used the penetration divine ability to smoothly pass through the door. However, because of the huge consumption, he could not stand steadily. It could be seen that the thing he penetrated is very powerful. Qin Yin successfully penetrated through. In a daze, he opened his eyes and found that it is very bright here, making it impossible for him to hide in the darkness. There's a large pool inside. The pool is emitting a white mist. It is a very dense immortal energy. And beside the pool, there's a person who has just taken off her clothes. When Qin Yin saw this person, he could not help but be stunned. This person is wearing a white mask. She is the leader of the Black Cloth Corps, and at this moment, she has taken off all her clothes. The white-masked woman is also stunned. It is as if she did not expect Qin Yin to come here. Furthermore, she is at a loss for what to do due to the sudden fright. When she saw Qin Yin's eyes staring at her, she suddenly reacted and realized that she was not wearing any clothes. Suddenly, this place was enveloped by a cold aura filled with killing intent. That intense killing intent seems to want to destroy the world, causing Qin Yin to feel endless fear. You close your eyes. The white-masked woman's voice is trembling and angry. It came through the mask and is somewhat hoarse. Just as the white-masked woman was about to pick up her clothes and put them on, Qin Yin said, there's no need to wear it. I'll send you off. After saying that, he threw out the throwing knife talisman weapon in his hand. Boom! The angry woman was killed by Qin Yin's throwing knife talisman weapon and left the fantasy field. Strange, she is clearly in the fantasy field. Why is she taking off her clothes? Qin Yin curled his lips and walked to the side of the pool. Maybe she wants to soak in this pool. The immortal energy here is really dense. Chapter 6:13. Trespassing into the forbidden area, the white-masked woman was furious, especially when she was killed in that situation. When she thought of this, she was ashamed and angry. Qin Yin killed the white-masked woman again and obtained 5,000 points. He is almost 10,000 points and is still ranked first. He stood beside the immortal pool and tried to absorb a little immortal energy, but found that it was not very useful. Strange, this immortal pool doesn't seem to be useful to me. Qin Yin frowned. You don't have that kind of cultivation. The effect of immortal energy is very limited, but it can make your flame very strong. Ling Yin'er said, I can only ask Xieqiru how to use this immortal energy. Not long after the white-masked woman was killed, she immediately appeared here. Qin Yin, you are dead. As soon as the white-masked woman appeared, she released a very terrible power. She gently raised her hand and shot out a long eye sword that pierced Qin Yin's head. Qin Yin was killed and left the fantasy field. He also lost 100 points. He woke up from the bed very depressed and frowned. Her strength has become stronger. Could it be that she used her strongest power? Very likely. Her power may have been sealed by herself to test disciples. So she limited her cultivation to the middle stage of the spirit martial realm. Ling Yun said she was too angry, so she unlocked the seal and directly used the power of half-immortal realm to kill you. Unfair. Qin Yin curled his lips. We'll let you see her body. She didn't kill you in reality. It's very restrained. Ling Yun giggled and said, "The most annoying thing is that you actually killed her like that. You don't know how to show mercy to the fairer sex. I'm going to talk to her again. I have to borrow that immortal pool." Qin Yun quickly lay down. After he lay down, after a while, he sat up abruptly. "I can't enter the fantasy field," Qin Yun exclaimed. What's going on? I'm restricted from entering the fantasy field?" "It should be." Ling Yun sighed. "We underestimated the ability of the white masked woman. I didn't expect her to be able to control the fantasy field. Did I go too far?" Qin Yun covered his face. Lying on the bed, he cursed in a low voice. "If that woman can't afford to play, then don't play. She cheated a few times before, but I didn't say anything to her. Now, she actually restricted me from entering the fantasy field." Just as he was complaining, the door of the room was violently opened. The person who came was Granny Ma. "Qin Yun, you are in big trouble," Granny Ma said with a cold face. "What should come will come." Qin Yun quickly stood up and said, "The family powers, Medicine Immortal Valley and Azure Flame Immortal Mountain are here. They want the sect master to drive me out of the Immortal Weapon City? It's not about that. Since you know your situation, why did you still barge into the forbidden area?" Granny Ma coldly snorted. "This is an order from the sect master. He told me to capture you and put you in the dungeon for 100 years. Moreover, he will permanently ban you from entering the fantasy field." Qin Yun is alarmed and immediately asked, "Granny Ma, is the sect master a man or a woman?" "It's a man." "What's wrong? You want to see him?" Granny Ma said coldly. "Come with me to the dungeon." Qin Yun thought that the white-masked woman was the sect master, but now it seems that she is not. But she must be very powerful. Otherwise, she would not have imprisoned him all of a sudden. "Granny Ma, can I leave the Immortal Weapon City?" Qin Yun did not want to be imprisoned for 100 years. He also knew that he would not be able to stay in the Immortal Weapon City for long. Those family powers would join forces to drive him out. "Yes, but you have to go to prison for 100 years before you can leave the Immortal Weapon City," Granny Ma said angrily. "Qin Yun, why don't you behave yourself? Why did you trespass into the forbidden area?" "I don't even know what forbidden area is." Qin Yun curled his lips. "You don't know? In the fantasy field, if you close your eyes, you can see the map of the fantasy field. The red area on the map represents the word forbidden area." Granny Ma scolded. "If you trespass into the forbidden area, you will be imprisoned for 100 years. Qin Yun thought about it carefully. He had indeed seen the two words forbidden area before. However, he thought that he could do whatever he wanted in the fantasy field, so he didn't care. Moreover, at that time, he was about to find the immortal origin, so he didn't have any misgivings. "Granny Ma, let me go," Qin Yun said. "If I let you go, who will let me go?" "Go to jail," Granny Ma said coldly. "I heard that the people from the family powers joined forces with the people from the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain to drive me out of the Immortal Weapon City, right? What if he succeeds? Does that mean I won't have to go to jail?" Qin Yun asked immediately. "If the sect master agrees, you won't have to go to jail and you can get out of the Immortal Weapon Palace." Granny Ma nodded. "Granny Ma, can you help me keep the matter of me being imprisoned a secret?" Qin Yun said with a chuckle. "I can give you some benefits. How about this? I'll give the golden ape totem to that girl Jingming." "Really?" When Granny Ma heard this, she also felt that this deal is very worthwhile. She only wanted to keep Qin Yun's matter a secret. If the family faction knew that Qin Yun had been imprisoned for 100 years, they would definitely temporarily give up on forcing the sect master. If they didn't know, they would continue with their plan. At that time, the family powers would be prepared to join forces with the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain. Even if they knew that Qin Yun was imprisoned, they would definitely not be able to get off the tiger and continue to ask the sect master to chase Qin Yun away. As a result, Qin Yun, who had been imprisoned for 100 years, would be released. Qin Yun planned to let the family powers help him out of the dungeon. "Give me the golden ape totem first." Granny Ma also knew that Qin Yun was extremely cunning. "Here." Qin Yun took out a piece of bee skin. "Granny Ma, Don't spread it around. This is very precious. Granny Ma took the bee skin and looked at it. She said, "Don't worry, I will do as I say. I'm not as shameless as you." Am I shameless? The leader of the Black Cloth Corps is shameless. Qin curled his lips. Let's not talk about this anymore. Come with me. Granny Ma smiled coldly. You better bless the family power and successfully force the sect master to release you. Otherwise, you'll be in prison. Qin was secretly brought to the dungeon of the Lawkeeper Hall. Granny Ma also instructed the people here not to spread the news of Qin being imprisoned. If it was leaked out, they would be imprisoned and severely punished. Qin returned to the cage again. Opposite him are the group of family disciples. They're going to be imprisoned for 3 years. Isn't this Qin? Why are you back again? A long family disciple jumped up in excitement and joy when he saw Qin. It's really Qin. Ha ha. Qin, you bastard, welcome back. I knew you bastard would come in again. Qin, you bastard, what did you do this time? Great. Let's see how you can still be so carefree. When the family disciples saw Qin come in, they were as happy as if they were celebrating the new year. I've stepped into the spirit martial realm. Qin sighed. Because of manslaughter, I was imprisoned for 2 years. When the originally happy family disciples learned that Qin had stepped into the spirit martial realm, the smile on their faces suddenly disappeared. You're lying. How long has it been, and you're already at the spirit martial realm? Nonsense. The young man from the Long family shouted in disbelief. Qin curled his lips and quickly released a burst of bone spirit power. When the family disciples sensed Qin's bone spirit power, their eyes turned red with jealousy. They felt as if something was blocking their hearts. You killed someone? How could you only be locked up for 2 years? The young man from the Long family asked again. Because I'm a main sect disciple. I accidentally killed an outer sect disciple, and it was from your Long family. Qin said with a smile. You bastard. The young man from the Long family said angrily. Qin is just making it up. He did not say that he was locked up for 100 years. Otherwise, this group of family disciples would go crazy with joy. All of you shut up. Otherwise, I'll definitely beat you up when I find an opportunity, just like last time. Qin chuckled. Last time, Granny Ma had a favor to ask of Qin, so she agreed to let him beat up this group of family disciples. The family disciples here, even if they die, will never forget that they were beaten up by Qin. At this moment, they did not dare to say anything more. They could only hold their breath and watch from the side. Qin also took advantage of this moment to comprehend the piercing heavenly finger. The guys from Immortal Weapon City are really something. This dungeon has a barrier to defend against the power of divine power. The fantasy field is so important, but there is no such realm. Ling snorted and said, and that bullshit sect master, if he didn't take action, the immortal tool of Immortal Weapon City would have been lost. Yes, if there's a next time they want to ask me to come out of the mountain, I will definitely make them bleed. Qin sighed secretly. There should be no next time. This kind of good thing only happens once. Unfortunately, I don't know, otherwise I will definitely make the Immortal Weapon City bleed. It's all my fault, Ling said with self-blame. If I were smart, I would have let you open your mouth and bite them hard. Forget it, this is life. At least I can avoid 3 years of prison and also let me get the wildfire inscription spirit. Qin said with a smile. Yin, you can rest assured that I will be able to get through this crisis. It depends on whether the family forces are willing or not. Ling smiled and said, if these guys from the family forces succeed in forcing the sect master to drive you away, then they are equivalent to helping you, ha. So, they must succeed. Qin laughed. Qin won the first place in the martial Dao list, but was driven out of the Immortal Weapon City and could not participate in the martial arts competition. This also made him have a lot of regrets. He can only think of other ways to see if he can participate in the martial arts competition. Just 3 days after Qin entered the dungeon, outside the gate of the Immortal Weapon Palace, a group of people came. Many branches of the Long family, Tian family, and Yang family of the Proud Star State have sent experts. The branches of these three big families have sent people, so the biggest family masters in the proud star state naturally have to come. Chapter 614. Expulsion from the sect. The square at the entrance of the Immortal Weapon Palace is very large. It can accommodate more than 100,000 people, and it is not crowded. And now, there are only more than 10,000 people here, but their aura is very terrifying. There are more than 20 martial emperors and hundreds of martial kings. The most suffocating thing was that the few old men with wrinkles all over their faces were all in the half-immortal realm. Although they look like they're about to die, their aura is very strong and terrifying to the extreme. From afar, one can tell that they are half-immortal realm. They are the half-immortal elders of the Long family, Tian family, and Yang family. Although Medicine Immortal Valley and Azure Flame Immortal Mountain do not have half-immortal realm, they have several powerful elders. All of them are martial emperors. It can be seen that they also attach great importance to this matter. Qin Yun, this little demon, is really capable. He actually alarmed the half-immortal experts of the three great families. Qin Yun is finished. Maybe it's because the Long family's patriarch was beheaded. The other families are worried that such a thing will happen again, so they want to join forces to suppress Qin Yun. They're all here for the good things on Qin Yun's body. If Qin Yun was poor, do you think they would have mobilized so many people? If Qin Yun was poor, he would not have the ability to fight against these great families and immortal sects. Qin Yun has Bone Dragon, Totem Rune, Wildfire Inscription Spirit, and a treasure that even Ing Qingyu covets. What's the background of this guy? Let's see if Immortal Weapon City will compromise. Everyone only dared to watch from afar and did not dare to approach. The one who came out is Granny Ma. She saw the people of the Family Power and Medicine Immortal Valley and Azure Flame Immortal Mountain together, and her face sank. At this moment, a group of people wearing pink robes arrived. There are young and beautiful women, middle-aged women, and a few old women with serious faces. These are the people of Demon Moon Island. Qin Yun's bounty was issued by Demon Moon Island. Now that Qin Yun is in trouble, they naturally have to appear. Demon Moon Island is not afraid of causing trouble. They even dared to issue a warrant for the Elder of Medicine Immortal Valley. Demon Moon Island, what are you doing here? An old man from the Long family asked coldly. All of you are here to suppress Qin Yun, right? We're here to do business. When the time comes, Qin Yun will definitely hate you. He might even entrust us with a bounty on you people. The one who answered was Wu Jingxian. She smiled charmingly. Are you ready to lose your head? Demon Moon Island, if you know what's good for you, quickly revoke the bounty you posted. A half-immortal old man from the Tian clan said in a low voice, causing the surrounding several thousand meters to tremble. What can you do if we don't know what's good for us? If you have the guts, attack our Demon Moon Island. The one who spoke was an old woman. Her voice was extremely sharp and ear-piercing. Even those in the Martial King realm felt terrible, as if their hearts were being stabbed. She was an old woman in the half-celestial realm. Everyone was immediately greatly alarmed because this old woman from Demon Moon Island seems to be a lot more spirited than the three family half-immortal experts. Granny Ma walked out of the Immortal Weapon Palace alone. She looked coldly at the group of people and asked, "The purpose of your visit today is to have our sect master expel Qin Yun from the sect, right?" "Granny Ma, it's good that you know," an old man from the Long family said. "You family powers clearly know that our Immortal Weapon City is enemies with the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain, yet you colluded with them," Granny Ma said angrily. "Granny Ma, the reason why our Immortal Weapon City is enemies with the two immortal sects is all because of Qin Yun. Don't you think he's a bane? If we expel him from the sect, the friends of the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain will agree to write off our Immortal Weapon City. This will be very beneficial to us," the old man from the Long family said. At this time, Hu Jingxian sneered and said, "Immortal Weapon City, if you drive Qin Yun out, you will be destroying the bridge after crossing the river. You must remember who helped you keep the sun and moon immortal bed. Your immortal weapon city's immortal weapon fantasy field and immortal weapon spirit pagoda are based on the sun and moon immortal bed to operate. There are more than 1,000,000 onlookers floating in the air in the distance, watching closely. Hearing Hu Jingxian's words, there was a burst of noise. Many people did not know that the immortal weapon city's most precious immortal tool has such a great ability to support the operation of the immortal weapon spirit pagoda and the immortal weapon fantasy field. Qin Yun is also able to compete with Ying Chengyu's disciple because he entered our immortal weapon city. He also won the wildfire inscription spirit. This is an opportunity given to him by our immortal weapon city. The old man from the Tian family sneered. You fart. Chu Binyu walked out and scolded. You all had a part in stopping the competition between Qin Yun and Ying Chengyu's disciple. Now you are so shameless to say such a thing. Let the sect master come out. The old man from the Yang family said. I found out that the sect master has already come out of seclusion. There are so many guests here. Won't he come out to meet us? Just as the old man finished speaking, a white mist suddenly appeared in front of Granny Ma. After the white mist dissipated, a short old man appeared. He is dressed in white, his hands are behind his back, and his head is already bald. However, he looks very energetic. His face is full of spring. There are very few wrinkles, and there's a gentle smile on his face. Bao Changsho, congratulations on becoming the sect master of the immortal weapon city. The half-immortal old man from the Long family cupped his fists and sneered. The sect master of the immortal weapon city is called Bao Changsho. Previously, he was very mysterious, but now he is a familiar figure to many half-immortals. You are too polite. You don't look like you can live for long. Why are you still running around? Bao Changsho laughed and said, Although I'm older than you, I think I can still live for a long time. Hearing Bao Changsho's words, the expressions of the few half-immortal old men changed. Fear flashed in their eyes because they can only live to the half-immortal realm and can't become a true immortal. And this Bao Changsho is so energetic. With one look, it is obvious that he has the possibility of becoming an immortal. Bao Changsho, our time is very precious. Let's not talk nonsense. Hurry up and make a decision. Are you going to keep Qin Yun or not? The half-immortal of the Long family said, One of our Long family's juniors has very good aptitude. Not long after he became the patriarch, his head was chopped off. This is all the fault of that little bastard Qin Yun. Immortal Weapon Sect Master, if you drive Qin Yun out of the Immortal Weapon City, our Medicine Immortal Valley guarantees that we will resolve the grudge between us. An old martial emperor from the Medicine Immortal Valley said, Qin Yun killed many disciples of our Azure Flame Immortal Mountain, causing hostility between us. This is all Qin Yun's fault. As long as the Immortal Weapon Sect Master expelled Qin Yun from the sect, we will only look for him to settle the score. The old man from the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain also said. Bao Changsho thought for a moment, looked at the elders of the other family powers, and asked, You are the elders of our Immortal Weapon City. Perhaps you have been in the Immortal Weapon City for many years. What is your opinion? Do you all agree to drive Qin Yun out of the Immortal Weapon City? The elders and disciples of the Long family, Tian family, and Yang family are all talking about Qin Yun's matters. Hua Xie, Tian Yaolei, Yang Shenglong, Long Quanghong, Long Ziming, and other disciples spoke the loudest because they were the ones who were abused the most by Qin Yun. They all focused on the matter of Qin Yun destroying the balance of the fantasy field. Their opinion is the same. They want to drive Qin Yun out. Outsiders are only spectators, but they are full of praise and admiration for what Qin Yun has done in the fantasy field. Granny Ma, bring Qin Yun out. I have decided to expel him from the sect. He will no longer be a disciple of our Immortal Weapon City in the future. Bao Changsho sighed slightly. Bao Changsho actually agreed. The people from the Medicine Immortal Valley, the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain, and the other aristocratic families are also somewhat surprised. They never expected Bao Changsho to agree just like that. After their surprise, They all revealed happy smiles on their faces. Everyone is smiling like children who have eaten candy. Secmaster, please reconsider. Qin Yun's talent in inscription is not number 1 or number 2 among the young people. Chu Binyu hurriedly said. Chu Binyu, you guessed elder, shut up. The old man from the Long family quickly reprimanded. Bao Changsho said, Old Chu, Qin Yun violated the rules of our immortal weapon palace and trespassed into the forbidden area. He has been locked up in the dungeon for 100 years. No matter how high his talent in inscription is, he is still a prisoner, so driving him away is also a good thing for him. Is there such a thing? Chu Binyu is surprised. The people from the family powers were originally very happy, but after hearing about this matter, they all looked like they had eaten a fly and their faces turned ugly. If they knew that Qin Yun would be locked up for 100 years, they would have other countermeasures. But now, they have helped Qin Yun and helped Qin Yun escape from prison for 100 years. Qin Yun, who is in the dungeon, saw Granny Ma arrive and knew that the family powers had succeeded. Granny Ma, you want to release Qin Yun again? A disciple of the Long family asked. Yes. Qin Yun trespassed into the forbidden area and will be imprisoned for 100 years. However, under the request of several patriarchs, the sect master agreed to expel Qin Yun from the sect, so he can also leave the dungeon. Granny Ma looked at the smiling Qin Yun and said coldly, Qin Yun, you are free. Those family power disciples are all dumbfounded, because in their opinion, it would be best if Qin Yun was imprisoned for 100 years. And now, Qin Yun was actually released because he was expelled from the sect. When they saw the smile on Qin Yun's face, they knew what was going on. Their family elders did not know that Qin Yun had been imprisoned for 100 years. That's why they accidentally let Qin Yun escape from the dungeon. Soon, Granny Ma flew out with Qin Yun. Qin Yun walked out with a smile and cupped his fists. He thanked those family powers, as well as the people from the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain. Many thanks to all the elders, this little one can escape from prison for 100 years. Thank you very much. Qin Yun laughed, and laughed very happily. Granny Ma, why didn't you tell us that Qin Yun had been imprisoned for 100 years? An elder of the Long family immediately shouted in anger. I didn't have the obligation to tell you. Granny Ma snorted and pushed Qin Yun out. She said, Brat, you are free. I hope you can live well. Chu Binyu did not know whether to laugh or cry. He did not know if this is a good or bad thing for Qin Yun. He sighed and said, Sect Master, you have missed out on a very good seedling with inscription talent. Chapter 6:15. Jian Shitian Qin Yun saw Hu Jingxian at a glance, and heaved a sigh of relief in his heart, because Hu Jingxian would protect him. He was originally worried that he would not be able to participate in the martial arts tournament, but now, as long as he joined Demon Moon Island and became a disciple of Demon Moon Island, he would be able to represent Demon Moon Island to participate. When the people from the family powers saw how carefree Qin Yun was, all of them felt heartache. They would rather Qin Yun be imprisoned for 100 years than see him roam freely outside, because they could already tell that Demon Moon Island wanted to protect Qin Yun. Bao Changsho, don't tell me you don't know the relationship between Qin Yun and Yang Shuriwe. Qin Yun and Yang Shuriwe have a deep relationship, and Yang Shuriwe obtained the Star Lord Inscription Spirit, and her whereabouts are unknown. An elder from the Medicine Immortal Valley laughed sinisterly. We can't catch Yang Shuriwe, but it's still very easy to catch Qin Yun. Of course I know. I also went to the remote Moon Mountain range to fight for the Star Lord Inscription Spirit. But I'm not as despicable as you guys. I will never use Qin Yun to threaten Yang Shuriwe. Bao Changsho smiled. Do whatever you want. Qin Yun arrived beside Hu Jingxian. Demon Moon Island, if you take Qin Yun in, don't blame us for being ruthless in the future. An old man from the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain said with a cold smile. When Qin Yun heard this, he was secretly worried. He left Hu Jingxian and the others and walked to Chu Binyu's side. He said, I think I should return to Saber Sword Villa. Xiao Yun, come here. Our Demon Moon Island is willing to make an exception and accept you as a disciple. Hu Jingxian immediately shouted. Her delicate words caused a sensation. Even the disciples of the Medicine Immortal Valley and the Azure Flame Immortal Mountain are shocked. Demon Moon Island never accepted male disciples, but now they want to make an exception for Qinyan. I have more feelings for Sabersword Villa. Qinyan looked at Chu Binyu and smiled. Villa Master, do you dare to take me in? Why wouldn't I dare? Chu Binyu did not seem to be afraid at all. Hu Jingxian stomped her feet in anger. She knew that Qinyan did not want to implicate their Demon Moon Island, but she was still angry. There are many beauties on Demon Moon Island, but Qinyan gave up such an enviable opportunity. Bao Changshu said, "This matter is over. You all can go." Wait. Suddenly, a white-robed old man fell from the sky like a falling sword, stabbing into the ground. This white-clothed old man was very tall and spirited. He looked like an immortal, and his entire body released a strong sword aura. Seeing this old man, Jian Rian, Jian Meng, and many other Jian family disciples all walked over and respectfully bowed to this old man. "Greetings, old ancestor." Everyone knew that the problem with the Jian family's disciples was that they were cold and arrogant. However, in front of this old man, they were incomparably respectful. "Qin Yun, this is the Sword Immortal Pavilion's sect master, Jian Shitian. Very powerful person. It is said that he is the strongest guy in the Proud Star State." Chu Binyu whispered to Qin Yun. Jian Shitian is a member of the Jian family, and also the sect master of the Sword Immortal Pavilion. When the Long family, Yang family, and Tian family's half-immortal elders saw Jian Shitian arrive, they are all extremely astonished and promptly walked over to greet him. The martial emperors of Medicine Immortal Valley and Azure Flame Immortal Mountain also came over to salute. The spectators in the distance are all very excited to see such a legendary character appear. This is a character they worship very much. "Jian Shitian, you should be able to live longer than me." Bao Changshu chuckled. "Your name is Bao Changshu, and my name is Jian Shitian. Just from your name, you can live longer than me, and I, Jian Shitian, am someone who fights against the heavens. Maybe even when I sleep, I will be punished by the heavens and die." Jian Shitian said with a carefree smile. "What business do you have here?" Bao Changshu asked in confusion. "Could it be that one of our disciples has provoked your Sword Immortal Pavilion?" "That's not it. I just came to help my grandson fulfill a wish." As Jian Shitian spoke, a young man also floated over. This young man is wearing blue clothes and has a handsome appearance. However, he has a cold and arrogant expression. Qin Yun recognized this young man. "He is Jian Nanhu." "Brother Hu, why are you here?" Jian Ruyan said with a frown. "I was defeated by a disciple of the Immortal Weapon City earlier. I came to find him for revenge." Jian Nanhu said, "Immortal Weapon City, let your disciple come out and compete with me." "When did this happen?" Jian Meng asked in surprise. "Brother Hu, you are publicly recognized as the strongest initial stage spirit martial realm in the Proud Star State. Who can defeat you?" At this moment, Granny Ma looked at Qin Yun. Many disciples also looked at Qin Yun. Qin Yun hurriedly shook his head and said, "Why are you looking at me? It's not me." Jian Ruyan coldly snorted and said, "It's definitely not Qin Yun. This guy was killed by me in a few moves. With his strength, he can only beat trash like Tian Yaolei and Hua Xie." "Jian Ruyan, you are insulting me. Tian Yaolei's roar is like angry thunder." "Jian Ruyan, you should know that in the Immortal Weapon Fantasy field, we are all greatly restricted. And the reason why Qin Yun is so powerful in the fantasy field is also because he can refine talismans. He can suppress us in terms of equipment." Hua Xie said with a face full of dissatisfaction, "My strongest point is my Xian body, but I can't use it in the fantasy field." Long Quanghong also hurriedly said, "I have the dragon bloodline, and I am unable to unleash this kind of power. My strength is definitely not weaker than Qin Yun's." Jian Nanhu said coldly, I am certain that the person who defeated me is a disciple of the immortal weapon city. He said himself, quickly get him to come out and fight with me. Last time, I wasn't prepared enough, so I was defeated by him. Therefore, I can't accept my loss. The last time Qin Yun entered the ghost grass devil forest, he was wearing a mask. Therefore, his voice was different, and Jian Nanhu could not tell. Granny Ma knew that it was Qin Yun, but Qin Yun denied it. Clearly, he did not want to participate in such a battle. Jian Shitian said with a smile, Old Bao, quickly invite that person out. No matter what, he is very strong. Don't hide this kind of person. Don't you owe me a favor? I saved your life back then. If you let this person come out and fight with me, it will be considered as repaying my favor. Good? Granny Ma, go call that disciple out. Bao Changsho said with a very happy smile. Owing favors is not good at all. Now I finally have a chance to repay it, and it's so easy. Ha ha ha, it's worth it. Granny Ma quickly turned around and entered the Immortal Weapon Palace. She planned to call a powerful initial stage spirit martial realm disciple to fight with Jian Nanhu. She knows very well that if Qin Yun were to go on stage, he would definitely raise the price and make Bao Changsho bleed a lot. Qin Yun is too lazy to fight because there are no benefits. Qin Yun, I want to fight you. Hua Xie immediately looked at Qin Yun and shouted, Hua Xie, I admit that you're stronger than me. Furthermore, you can hang me up with one hand. Is that okay? Qin Yun curled his lips and said, even without the help of equipment, Qin Yun is still very strong. You should be clear that he killed Lu Chongsheng with the strength of the 9th level martial Dao realm. Jian Ruyan fanned the flames from the side. She looked at Tian Yaolei and Hua Xie and said with a sneer, although Qin Yun can't defeat me, he can still deal with trash like you. Qin Yun secretly cursed Jian Ruyan, this vengeful woman. Jian Ruyan, don't provoke them. Qin Yun, admit defeat and admit defeat. I'm the weakest. The reason why I can defeat all of you is because of my powerful equipment. Tian Yaolei, Hua Xie, Long Quanghong, and Yang Shenglong are all stronger than me. In front of them, I'm just a weak chicken. Qin Yun said loudly. He actually admitted that he was very weak. This caused many seniors to be emotionally moved. That's because they could all tell that Qin Yun is someone who knows when to bow and submit. If it were any other young disciple, they would definitely be extremely arrogant and would not allow others to say anything bad about them. Even Jian Shirqian's eyes are filled with admiration. He knows very well that many people sometimes lose their lives because of that little bit of anger. For example, his grandson, Jian Nanhu, because he couldn't accept his loss, he pestered him to come out and compete with the disciple from the Immortal Weapon City. Qin Yun, don't say any more. Quickly fight with me. Tian Yaolei shouted. Aren't you fighting with me to prove that you're stronger than me? I've already admitted that you're stronger than me. What's the point of fighting? Qin Yun hid behind Chu Binyu and said, Villa Master, don't let him come over. I'm afraid he'll kill me with one palm. Jian Ruyan frowned and cursed in a low voice. Qin Yun, you coward. What's wrong with fighting with him? You're just a despicable person who only knows how to sneak attack. Big sister Jian Ruyan, I haven't even used the 10,000 genes of beast bones you gave me, and I've already been expelled from the sect. What a pity. Qin Yun felt somewhat unhappy when he thought of this matter. This is perfect. You can't use those Xin beast bones to refine talismans to trick people. Jian Ruyan snorted lightly. Hua Xie, Tian Yaolei, and the others are very angry. At this moment, Jian Mang said, Tian Yaolei, Qin Yun has already admitted that he's weaker than you. Why are you still not convinced? Don't tell me you really think that Qin Yun is very strong? Qin Yun immediately cursed Jian Mang in his heart. He actually wanted to push him into a pit of fire. Jian Mang said with a smile, Qin Yun is a guy who only cares about profit. If you let him fight with you for no reason, he definitely won't do it because it's very tiring. Just as Qin Yun finished cursing Jian Mang in his heart, he felt some regret. That's because Jian Mang is helping him fish something. Jian Mang, what is the meaning of this? The first to flip out was actually Jian Ruyan. Jian Ruyan suddenly understood that when Qin Yun fought with her, he deliberately lost to her because he didn't want to be too tired. Then, he obtained another 15,000 genes of beast bones. Jianmeng chuckled and said, Sister Yin, you promised Qin Yin that regardless of whether you win or lose, you would give him 15,000 genes of Xian beast bones. Furthermore, you gave it to him before the fight. Do you think he would seriously fight with you? Jian Rian thought about it carefully and immediately flew into a rage. She shouted at Qin Yun, When you fought with me, did you go easy on me? In all honesty, Qin Yun, did not go easy on you. I fought with you very seriously. Qin Yun hurriedly raised his hand. I swear to the heavens, if I lie to you, no girl will ever marry me. Chapter 6:16. Mountain and river martial spirit Qin Yun glared at Jianmeng, but Jianmeng could not see his eyes that are filled with anger. The more Jian Rian thought about it, the more she felt that Qin Yun might have gone easy on her. She also felt that she was somewhat stupid to have challenged Qin Yun just like that. Qin Yun did not want to fight at all because fighting would be very tiring and he might even get injured. If there were any benefits, that would be more like it. After Jianmeng sensed Jian Rian's intense anger, he immediately said with a smile, Sister Yin, even if Qin Yun didn't go easy on you, he wouldn't be able to defeat you. With his strength, it's impossible for him to defeat you. The reason why he went easy on you is probably because he didn't want to be so tired. After all, he knew that he would definitely lose to you in the end. Qin Yun nodded and said, Female hero, your mental sword is very powerful. It's a headache to fight you. In addition, your sword technique is superb and my body is very easy to attack. Fighting with you is truly exhausting both physically and mentally. I can't fight a protracted battle. What he said is the truth. He is not sure if he can defeat Jian Rian in the end. When Jian Rian heard these words, she felt much more satisfied and coldly snorted. Although Qin Yin can't beat you, Sister Yin, he can still bully trash like Hua Siya and the others. No matter how strong Hua Siya is, he is only slightly stronger than Lu Chongsheng. When Qin Yin was at the 9th level martial Dao realm, he was able to defeat Lu Chongsheng, who was at the spirit martial realm. Jianmeng said again. When Hua Xia heard this, his expression turned gloomy and cold. He could not flip out at Jianmeng because Jian Shitian is here. Qin Yun doesn't know what wrong Jianmeng ate. He, who usually doesn't like to cause trouble, actually said so many hateful words. Qin Yun, fight me, Hua Xia said coldly. Aren't you only willing to fight because you want some benefits? As long as you defeat me, I'll give you 1,000,000 purple coins. Do you want to fight or not? Hua Xia, I sold the head of the Long family's patriarch to the Long family for billions of purple crystal coins. Do you think I would lack purple crystal coins? Qin Yun chuckled. How about this? I'll give you 1,000,000 purple crystal coins. How about you fight a pig? You, Hua Xia, can only take out a few million purple crystal coins. At that moment, Hua Xia's master walked over and said, Qin Yun, how about 100 million purple crystal coins? Everyone knew that Hua Xia had been completely oppressed by Qin Yun in the fantasy field. This was his greatest humiliation. As for Hua Xia, he has a Xian body and is unable to develop his power in the fantasy field. Therefore, he feels that he can definitely defeat Qin Yun in reality. Are you sending off a beggar? Qin Yun curled his lips and said, I won't do it. Then what do you want? Hua Xia said angrily. I don't want to fight. Qin Yun laughed. I already said that I'm not as strong as you. Why are you so persistent in fighting me? Jianmeng said with a smile, because he is unwilling to accept it. In the fantasy field, he was miserably tortured by you. If he doesn't torture you back, he won't be able to swallow the anger in his heart. Not only Hua Xia, even Tian Yaolei, Long Quanghong, and Long Ziming thought the same. Qin Yun, as long as you defeat me, you can obtain an Origin Spirit Xian pill. Hua Xia made a decision and said heavily. The Origin Spirit Xian pill is rather precious, just like the Bone Spirit Xian pill. Qin Yun had previously eaten one pill, and his mental power had increased by quite a bit. If he ate more, he would be able to quickly increase his mental power cultivation and help him step into the middle stage of the spirit martial realm. This caused many disciples to be surprised. After all, the conditions are not bad. One must know that if Qin Yun lost in a martial arts competition, he would lose. There was no loss at all. However, Hua Xie is different. If he lost, he would have to give him an origin spirit Xian pill. 2 pills. Qin Yun thought for a moment and said, I don't have that many. Hua Xie cursed in his heart, because it is just as Jian Mang said. Qin Yun would definitely not fight a battle without benefits. Then forget it. Qin Yun sighed and said, I have 3 billion purple crystal coins. It's not too difficult to buy the origin spirit Xian pill. 2 pills it is. Hua Xie snorted, You can't beat me anyway. Even if I say I'll give you 10 pills, you won't be able to get them. Wait, take out 2 origin spirit Xian pills for me to see. Qin Yun said. Jian Rian disdainfully snorted and said, What a wishy-washy, profit-seeking fellow. He only thinks about this kind of small profit all day long. Hua Xie also took out 2 origin spirit Xian pills for Qin Yun and placed them with Bao Changshu. This made Qin Yun feel at ease. As expected of a disciple of the Lawkeeper Hall, the benefits are really generous. Chu Binyu said with a smile. When Jian Shitian saw that they were going to fight, and it is an influential figure like Qin Yun, he became very interested. He said with a smile, Let me set up the barrier so that we don't destroy the entrance of the Immortal Weapon Palace. Later, his grandson would also be fighting here. As the person who came to challenge him, it was polite for him to take care of this matter. Everyone originally thought that after Qin Yun was expelled from the sect, there would be no good show to watch. They never expected that they would be able to personally witness the battle between Qin Yun and Hua Xie. This kind of battle would be able to display one's own strength. Hua Xie has dual martial spirits, Xian body, and totem. With this kind of foundation, it is enough to rank in the top 10 of the initial stage spirit martial realm in the Proud Star State. Jian Rian said. She also acknowledged Hua Xie's strength. What about Qin Yun? His strength is not weak. It shouldn't be difficult for him to defeat Hua Xie. Jian Mang chuckled and said, Fortunately, he can't participate in the martial arts tournament. Otherwise, he would definitely be able to snatch a place in the top 10. No matter how strong he is, he won't be able to defeat me. Jian Ruyan is extremely confident. Then, she looked at Jian Nanhu and asked, Brother who do you think is on par with you in the Proud Star State? There are at least 6. You are one of them. Jian Nanhu said, and then looked at the entrance of the Immortal Weapon Palace. There is also one in the Immortal Weapon City, Medicine Immortal Valley, Azure Flame Immortal Mountain, Demon Immortal Paradise, and Demon Moon Island. They all have people on par with me. After Jian Shitian finished setting up the barrier, he said, Do you need to use weapons in your martial art competition? No need. Hua Xie quickly said, Whatever. Qin Yun is very strong even without weapons. Of course, if he could use weapons, he wouldn't dare to take out the 9-Sun Divine Hammer. He would be seen through by the few old fellows here. The pressure on Hua Xie is not small. Furthermore, he is suppressing a bellyful of anger in his heart. Because when Jian Ruyan and Jian Nanhu were talking, they did not put him in their eyes at all. In his opinion, his strength is on par with Jian Nanhu's. Of course, with Jian Shitian here, he did not dare to be arrogant towards Jian Nanhu. The plaza at the entrance of the Immortal Weapon Palace has a 200-meter wide space for the martial arts competition. Qin Yun and Hua Xie are standing at the edge of the barrier. They are separated by 200 meters so they can freely display their skills. You won't be beaten out of the barrier if you are fighting inside. If you can't win, just admit defeat so as to avoid injuring your bones and affecting your future. Bao Changshu shouted. Jian Shitian shouted, Begin! The furious Hua Xie is like an angry mad bull. He used his fastest speed to rush out and jumped above Qin Yun. He raised his hand and condensed an illusory image of a mountain. The illusory image of the mountain suddenly pressed down, covering all the areas within the barrier. Boom! The falling illusory image of the mountain caused the ground to tremble violently and produce a loud sound. The millions of spectators are all shocked and exclaimed in admiration. Even the elders of many aristocratic families are endlessly praising this kind of power. The illusory image of the mountain pressed down on Qin Yun's body, causing him to lie on the ground. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Qin Yun did it on purpose because he temporarily can't display too much strength. Otherwise, he won't be able to continue swindling people. He felt that suppressing his cultivation to fight with Hua Xie is very meaningful. It is a very challenging matter. Seeing Hua Xie's strength, Jian Nanhu and Jian Rian's expressions slightly changed. Hua Xie has a Xian body and dual Dao cores, so he can withstand the instant release of primordial Dao power from the dual Dao cores. His strength is not bad. Jian Shitian said with a smile. Qin Yun, I want to show you what true power is. You only know how to rely on talismans and weapons. You simply don't understand the superiority of grasping formidable power. When Hua Xie saw Qin Yun being beaten to the ground and heard Jian Shitian praising him, he felt extremely excited. In order to display his strength, in order to not be underestimated by Jian Nanhu, Hua Xie used his strongest power. Walala. When Hua Xie saw that he was struggling to get up, he immediately condensed an illusory image of a great river. The surging great river in the sky rushed towards Qin Yun. Qin Yun, who is lying on the ground, feels as if his body has been hit by a huge wave. His body feels a tearing pain, and he can't help but let out a loud cry. Qin Yun was beaten to the ground again, and he is constantly being attacked by the power of the great river. The power displayed by Hua Xie's mountain and river martial spirit is very shocking. With a wave of his hand, he can condense a huge mountain to suppress Qin Yun. With a wave of his hand, he can condense a great river to attack Qin Yun. This guy is indeed very strong in reality. He is much stronger than in the fantasy field. Although Qin Yun feels intense pain in his body, his heavenly lion Xian body is not to be trifled with. The muscles in his body were only slightly torn and quickly healed. The powerful bones in his body were not affected at all. Hua Xie's strength is only SOSO. With your heavenly lion Xian body combined with the heavenly lion bone spirit, you have an extremely strong endurance. Even if he hits you a dozen more times, you will still be fine. Ling Yun said, you don't need to use the power of the Dao core. Just play with him and treat it as a warm-up. Maybe there will be all kinds of battles later on. If Hua Xie knew what Ling Yun was thinking, he would definitely vomit blood in anger. When everyone saw that Hua Xie's second move is very strong, they burst into cheers. Just as Hua Xie is feeling proud, he saw Qin Yun slowly crawl up. Although he looks to be in a sorry state and blood is flowing from the corner of his mouth, the fact that he can get up means that the skeleton in his body is not injured. When Hua Xie saw Qin Yun stand up, he clenched his fists tightly and released a terrifying Dao power. Mountain and river tyrannical heaven. Chapter 617. Continuous battle. Just as Qin Yun stood up, he felt a mountain and river aura pressing down on him, making it hard for him to breathe. His body seems to be suppressed by that aura, making it hard for him to move. Qin Yun, I want to completely cripple you. I want you to not be able to raise your head in front of Lu Jingming. Hua Xie's loud laughter accompanied by a ferocious aura pressed down. I can't move. I can only counterattack. Seeing that the fist was about to hit him, Qin Yun immediately struck out with his palm. Extinction Dragon Palm, devouring mountains and rivers. With the power of his Xian body, Qin Yun actually released an extremely terrifying 9 Extinction Dao Force. The power of his Extinction Dragon Palm is not the slightest bit weak. Only Hua Xie, who is inside the barrier, knows that Qin Yun's palm is very terrifying. It has suppressed his mountain and river power. Boom! The fist and palm collided, creating a shockwave. Qin Yun was sent flying far away and crashed into the barrier. Although Hua Xie was only forced to take a few steps back, he felt a splitting pain in the bones of his arm. An incomparable shock immediately surged into his heart. Just now, when he exchanged blows with Qin Yun, he could clearly feel that Qin Yun's body is also extremely terrifying. It is not inferior to his Xian body. Qin Yun was sent flying, but he quickly stood up. It looks like nothing happened to him. Seeing Qin Yun have such a tough body, everyone exclaimed in surprise. Is Qin Yun wearing some kind of armor? This kind of body is so powerful, it can rival a Xian body. He was hit twice by Hua Xie just now, but nothing happened to him. He can even stand up and fight. This is very powerful. The surrounding crowd exclaimed in admiration. Jian Shitian said, Qin Yun is not wearing any armor. My barrier has the ability to detect it. With regards to Qin Yun's powerful body, even Jian Ruyan did not dare to underestimate it. Bao Changshu secretly frowned because he did not see how powerful Qin Yun was. Inside the barrier, Hua Xie knew that Qin Yun did not use any Dao power. He only used his physical body to exchange blows with him. Hua Xie looked at Qin Yun's deep eyes, and an indescribable fear suddenly surged from the bottom of his heart. He could feel Qin Yun's bottomless and terrifying power. Of course, he is currently riding a tiger with no way out. If he did not defeat Qin Yun, not only would others look down on him, he would also lose 2 Origin Spirit Xian pills. Hua Xie gritted his teeth and flew over again, punching several times in succession. Every punch used all of his strength, displaying the mountain and river primordial Dao power. His totem was a mountain totem, but it could only strengthen his Dao power. He did not comprehend any mountain totem martial arts. Boom! Qin Yun's body was once again smashed by a huge mountain. Although he screamed from being smashed, he could always stand up after he screamed. Hua Xie also let out a series of loud roars. He constantly used his strongest primordial Dao power and released the illusory image of mountains and rivers to attack Qin Yun with all his might. The illusory images of mountains and rivers continuously bombarded down with astonishing momentum. Especially when the mountains and rivers collided, it was especially shocking. But the most shocking thing was still Qin Yun. It was as if he couldn't be killed. Although he was beaten to the point that he was covered in blood, when he stood up, it was as if he was fine. Hua Xie floated in the air, gasping for breath. He had used all of his strength to continuously attack, causing him to exhaust all of his strength. Qin Yun's body is truly terrifying. Just by standing there and letting Hua Xie hit him, Hua Xie is already this exhausted. Qin Yun isn't having it easy either. Just look at him, and you can tell that he's just holding on. Even if he's holding on, he's still very capable. Not everyone can hold on like this. Hua Xie, quickly get rid of Qin Yun. His current situation is similar to yours. He has consumed a lot of energy. Hua Xie also thought so. He shouted loudly and rushed toward Qin Yun. Qin Yun could also see that Hua Xie's speed had slowed down a lot. He slid his feet and used flowing light extinction shadow. In a flash, he appeared behind Hua Xie and slashed at his back with his palm. Boom! Qin Yun used his physical strength and struck out with the extinction dragon palm. The whistling palm wind was like the roar of an angry dragon. The exhausted Hua Xie had no time to dodge. He was struck in the back and immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. He was also beaten to the ground by Qin Yun. Bang bang! Qin Yun followed up with 2 more palm strikes. The sound produced by the palm wind is like the roar of a dying dragon. It is filled with a bitter aura of death. In just 2 moves, Qin Yun completely defeated Hua Xie. Hua Xie possesses a Xian body, but compared to Qin Yun's bloodline and Xian body, it is simply too inferior. The heavenly lion inheritance that Qin Yun obtained is a heavenly lion inheritance that can slay dragons. When everyone saw this scene, they found it hard to believe. Jian Shitian, Bao Changshu, and the other half-immortals were also moved. They seemed to have noticed something. Boom, boom, boom. Qin Yun lifted Hua Xie up and fiercely smashed his stinky face. Hua Xie screamed miserably from the beating. He was either slapped in the face or punched in the cheek. In an instant, he was beaten beyond recognition. Qin Yun, you can stop now. Just as Bao Changshu finished speaking, he saw Qin Yun punch Hua Xie's abdomen. Whoosh! Two energy waves surged out from Hua Xie's body. It was produced by the shattering of two Dao cores. If there weren't so many people here, Qin Yun would have definitely extracted Hua Xie's martial spirit. I admit defeat. Hua Xie's voice carried a sobbing tone, filled with resentment. Sect Master, he crippled me. The quiet plaza reverberated with Hua Xie's tragic and sorrowful cries. A Xian body martial master with two Dao cores and a very young one at that. He has actually been crippled, and he is from the Immortal Weapons City. Everyone is stunned. They could also sense Qin Yun's terrifying power and his willingness to risk his life. He actually dared to cripple a precious genius like Hua Xie in front of the Immortal Weapon City's Sect Master. Insolent Qin Yun, you actually dare to cripple an outstanding disciple of our Immortal Weapon City. An old man from the Long family also took the opportunity to shout angrily. Sect Master, quickly capture this kid and execute him. Sect Master, Hua Xie has such talent, but he was destroyed by Qin Yun. We must capture him and punish him severely. An elder from the Yang family shouted. The people from the family powers all pretended to be angry and sorrowful as they begged Bao Changshu to capture Qin Yun. After Jian Shitian closed the barrier, he walked over to check on Hua Xie's injuries. He said with a frown, his injuries are very serious. His martial spirit has been scattered and his Dao core has been severely shattered. What a pity. Qin Yun walked out of the barrier and looked at Bao Changshu. With a smile, he said, Sect Master Bao, give me those two Origin Spirit Xian pills. Don't give it to him. Hua Xie cried bitterly because he knew very well that he was completely destroyed. Bao Changshu let out a long sigh and handed the two Origin Spirit Xian pills to Qin Yun. Sect Master, why did you give it to him? The old man from the Long family said with a face full of indignation. Qin Yun won, of course I have to give it to him. Bao Changshu said. Hua Xie asked for this martial arts competition. He has been crippled. Why should I stand up for him? Furthermore, it is very easy for casualties to occur in this kind of martial arts competition. Who can be blamed? Everyone recalled that it was indeed Hua Xie who shamelessly begged Qin Yun to compete with him. Now that he had been crippled by Qin Yun, the Sect Master had to capture him. Wouldn't this embarrass Bao Changshu? Qin Yun's body was still injured. One could see that his skin was cracking, but he acted as if nothing had happened. He happily put away the two Origin Spirit Xian pills. Long Quanghong walked over and said, Qin Yun, you are really strong. Do you dare to fight with me? I'm injured, I won't fight. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, You only dared to fight me because you saw that I'm injured, right? You don't look like you're seriously injured. Long Quanghong also felt that he could defeat the injured Qin Yun, so he stood up. Old rules, two Origin Spirit Xian pills. Qin Yun thought for a moment and said, Sure. Long Quanghong took out two Origin Spirit Xian pills and handed them to Bao Changshu. Long Quanghong, if you die, that's your own business. Bao Changshu also looked at the elders of the Long family and said, All of you should be able to tell that Qin Yun has a Xian body. The spectators in the distance burst into an uproar. Bao Changshu's words caused a great commotion. Qin Yun actually possesses a Xian body. However, everyone still found it inconceivable. That is because Hua Xie also has a Xian body, but compared to Qin Yun, he is far inferior. His Xian body is just like that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been cracked open. The Long family's half-immortal elder disdainfully said, Long Quanghong, go kill him. Jian Shitian's interest is growing. Jian Meng said, Sister Yin, brother Hu, what do you think of Qin Yun's strength? If it were you, would you be able to defeat him? Yes. Jian Rian and Jian Nanhu answered together, their voices filled with confidence. Jian Meng has interacted with Qin Yun before and knows how terrifying Qin Yun is. He shook his head. Jian Shitian opened the barrier and said, Prepare to begin. Qin Yun, are you really all right? Chu Binyu saw the skin on Qin Yun's upper body split open and hurriedly asked, I'm fine. Defeating Long Quanghong is not a problem. Qin Yun said, Begin. Jian Shitian shouted. Everyone also began earnestly watching. Long Quanghong has the bloodline of a dragon, and his martial spirit is a purple-gold twin-headed dragon martial spirit. He has also mastered the Long family's Tian-tier martial art, Heavenly Dragon's secret art. 10,000 dragons crossing the mountain. In the beginning, Long Quanghong spread open his arms and released the primordial dragon Dao power within his body, condensing into countless ferocious dragons. Like a tsunami, their momentum was overbearing and their aura soared to the 9 heavens, enveloping the entire arena. The spectators in the distance saw countless furious dragons churning in the arena. They only felt that it was a majestic and spectacular sight that shook their hearts. Qin Yun is least afraid of dragons. The waves of primordial dragon Dao power crazily attacked his body and seeped into his body. However, they were crazily devoured and resisted by the power released by the heavenly lion bone spirit. Qin Yun realized that in reality, it is easier to use the power of the heavenly lion Xian body and the heavenly lion bone spirit to deal with Long Quanghong than in the fantasy field. 10,000 dragons, wild tornado. Qin Yun, you're dead for sure. Ha ha ha. Long Quanghong also felt that his aura is very strong. Seeing that the onlookers are all envious of him, he felt even more proud. Roar. Chapter 618. Mind collision. No one could see Qin Yun, who was in the middle of the martial arena, because the place was filled with dragon shadows formed from Dao energy. However, everyone was certain that Qin Yun would definitely suffer heavy injuries from Long Quanghong's attack, especially when Qin Yun was already heavily injured. Long Quanghong grinned sinisterly. Qin Yun, you will definitely die. Long Quanghong, who was laughing loudly, once again unleashed a ferocious attack. He cultivated the heavenly dragon incantation, and the dragon power he released was still very strong. Long Quanghong also stopped after a series of fierce attacks. The dragon shadow in the arena gradually disappeared. The most frightening thing was that Qin Yun had also disappeared. Could Qin Yun have been killed? Just as everyone was puzzled, they suddenly saw Qin Yun appear behind Long Quanghong. Long Quanghong never expected that Qin Yun would be completely fine after receiving such a ferocious attack. What's more, he didn't expect it to be able to sneak behind him in such a strange way. Qin Yun attacked with the extinction dragon palm. The low roar of the palm wind sounded like a dragon's roar. His palm slapped Long Quanghong's back, causing him to vomit a large mouthful of blood. The heavenly lion's power in Qin Yun's body seemed to want to break out of his body and release a very powerful force. This kind of power is the power of heavenly lion Xian body. It is a very pure physical power. Qin Yun possesses a Xian body, and his palm is as terrifying as a Xian artifact. With a heavy palm strike, he directly shattered Long Quanghong's spine. Long Quanghong screamed in pain. He lay on the ground, unable to move because his spine had been broken. Long Quanghong quickly admit defeat. Seeing that the situation was not right, the old man from the Long family quickly shouted. Long Quanghong also knows that his situation is very dangerous, but he doesn't want to admit defeat. By the time he sensed Qin Yun attacking again, it was already too late. Qin Yun descended from the sky and struck out with the extinction dragon palm at Long Quanghong's lower back. Furthermore, the two palms overlapped. Boom! After two muffled sounds, Long Quanghong screamed miserably. Just as Long Quanghong said a word, his head was smashed by Qin Yun's palm. Dead. Long Quanghong had been killed. Qin Yun is not polite to the Long family people because his 4 Dao tools were taken away by the Long family. After killing Long Quanghong, Qin Yun looked very calm. There were many open wounds on his body, but they did not affect him. Jin Shitian is also stunned. He never expected that Qin Yun would actually kill Long Quanghong. When Long Xiaofeng saw the dead Long Quanghong, she secretly cheered in her heart. She had long wished for Long Quanghong to die. Compared to the previous match, Qin Yun seemed to be very relaxed in this battle. The most incomprehensible thing was that Long Quanghong's ferocious attack on Qin Yun did not affect him at all. That is because Qin Yun's heavenly lion Xian body power can easily resist the not very strong primordial dragon Dao power. Although Long Quanghong is at the early stage of the spirit martial realm, Qin Yun's heavenly lion Xian body alone is enough to contend against all of Long Quanghong's powers. Jian Shitian opened the barrier and let Qin Yun out. A few Long family people came over to collect the corpse. A few elders looked at Qin Yun with grief and sorrow. They loudly roared and shouted, shouting to beat and kill. Seeing his family's younger generation being killed, the Long family's half-immortal elder could not stand it anymore and quickly walked over. "Wait, what do you want to do?" Demon Moon Island's half-immortal old woman coldly shouted. "In this kind of martial arts competition, death and injury are allowed. Don't tell me you want to seek revenge on Qin Yun? Then you have to go through me." Demon Moon Island's half-immortal expert is actually protecting Qin Yun. From the looks of it, she is willing to fight with the Long family's half-immortal for Qin Yun. Jian Shitian also said, "If your Long family wants to seek revenge on Qin Yun, you can wait until this matter is over." He did not want to see this place destroyed because today his grandson was going to challenge the young experts of the Immortal Weapon City. The Long family's hatred for Qin Yun is not a matter of a day or two. Although they are furious, they immediately endured it, as if they're already used to it. Everyone can tell that after Qin Yun leaves the Immortal Weapon City, he will definitely not have a good life in the future. The few great families and the two immortal sects will definitely chase after Qin Yun. Furthermore, Qin Yun is the person Yang Shi Yu cares about the most. If they want to lure Yang Shi Yu out, they can only capture Qin Yun. Qin Yun received the 2 Origin Spirit Xian pills from Bao Changshu. He is secretly happy in his heart. Although he had fought 2 battles and suffered some injuries, he felt that he had gained a lot. The wounds on his body were deliberately left unhealed in order to give others the illusion that he was seriously injured. This Qin Yun is quite powerful. Jian Rian looked at Qin Yun and felt an itch in her heart. She wanted to fight with Qin Yun. Although she had defeated Qin Yun in the fantasy field, she felt a little unhappy. "Sister Yin, I don't think you can beat him." Jian Meng said, Ming, you want to provoke me to challenge him? Although he is quite strong, he is definitely not my match." Jian Rian said with great confidence. Jian Meng shook his head. Jian Rian gritted her teeth in anger. Then, she walked towards Qin Yun and said, "Hey, can you still fight? I'll give you 2 Origin Spirit Xian pills. How about we fight? My injuries are quite serious. I won't fight." Qin Yun looked at Jian Ruyan and shook his head. He could still fight. However, he felt that it would be difficult to face Jian Ruyan, so he refused. "Coward!" Jian Ruyan snorted lightly, looked at Jian Meng and said, Ming, you saw it too. He didn't want to fight me. He knows that he's not my match, so he doesn't dare to fight me. Female hero, my body is currently injured and it's inconvenient for me to move around. How about we compete in mental power? Qin Yun said with a smile. Don't forget that I'm an inscription master. I can refine Xian tools and Xian talismans, so I can be considered half a Xian inscription master. My mental power is not weak. Hearing Qin Yun's words, everyone sucked in a breath of air. Not only is Qin Yun very good at fighting, he is also a rare Xian inscription master. From the looks of it, this kind of talent should be able to be ranked in the top 10 in the Proud Star State. After Jian Shitian heard this, he immediately became interested and said with a smile, Competing in mental power? I have a very good idea. Ahu, why don't you participate as well? All right, I'm bored right now anyway. Jian Nanhu walked over. Qin Yun looked at Jian Ruyan and said, If we compete in mental power, if I win, will I be able to obtain 2 Origin Spirit Xian pills? If your mental power can defeat me, I will naturally give it to you. However, that's impossible. I can cultivate the mental sword, and my mental power is the strongest. Even Brother Hu can't beat me. Jian Ruyan is extremely confident. Bao Changshu suddenly said, Medicine Immortal Valley, Azure Flame Immortal Mountain. Why are you guys still here? Do you have anything else to do? We want to see Jin, Nanhu compete with your Immortal Weapon City's disciples. Immortal Weapon Sect Master, you won't be that stingy, right? That's right, this won't hinder you guys. A few people from the aristocratic families did not leave. They are all here. They want to see Jin Nanhu's strength. Now, they have not seen Jin Nanhu's strength, but they have a very strong understanding of Qin Yun's strength. Jin Shirtian took out 3 stones. They are all large stones that are as tall as a person. The surface is very smooth. They are white, red, and black respectively. They are all very beautiful. Each of you choose a stone and then use your mental power to control the stone to fly up and collide with each other. The stronger the mental power, the stiffer the stone. Whoever's stone is the biggest in the end will be the winner. I want white, Jian Ruyan quickly shouted. I want red. Jian Nanhu went over and chose a stone. Then he permeated his mental power into the stone and made the red stone float. Qin Yun can only choose the black one. He used his mental power to control it and discovered that this stone consumes a lot of mental power. Fortunately, he cultivates mental power, and it is cultivated through the Star Sun Heart Sutra. His mental power has transformed into a star. Jian Nanhu said, Little sister Yin, you have to be careful. My mental power is also very strong. Don't be complacent. Jian Ruyan is very confident in her mental power. All right, let's start by shattering Qin Yun's stone. Then, let's have a good fight. Jian Nanhu said. Jian Shirtian also wants to see what level his grandson's mental power is compared to Qin Yun and Jian Ruyan's. Begin. After the start, Jian Ruyan and Jian Nanhu control their stones and quickly charged at Qin Yun. Qin Yun did not expect that they would really attack him from both sides. In just an instant, the upper and lower ends of his black stone were smashed into pieces, leaving only the middle one. These 2 bastards, they are going too far. Qin Yun cursed in his heart. He quickly concentrated his mind and condensed all of his mental power. My mental power is also very strong. I'll lend you a bit, Ling Yuner said with a smile. Qin Yun quickly sensed Ling Yuner's mental power. Because Ling Yuner is his Tao spirit, the mental power she released is also condensed from absorbing the Nether Sun Tao core. After Qin Yun's black stone was infused with a very strong mental power, it became extremely sturdy and its flying speed became very fast. This Jian Nanhu was defeated by me last time. Why is he still so arrogant now? Qin Yun muttered in his heart. Then, he controlled his black stone and charged at Jian Nanhu's red stone. Qin Yun's stone is very fast. Jian Nanhu did not have time to react. After being fiercely hit, it turned into red particles and scattered on the ground. When everyone saw this scene, they cried out in alarm. Jian Nanhu's stone was actually smashed into pieces by Qin Yun in an instant. Jian Nanhu's expression is incomparably unsightly because he felt that his mental power is also pretty good. However, compared to Qin Yun, the difference is too great. Brother Hu, I'll help you take revenge. Jian Ruyan also sensed Qin Yun's threat. She promptly controlled her white stone and charged at Qin Yun's black stone. Boom! Unexpectedly, after Jian Ruyan's entire white stone collided with the red stone, it also turned into white particles on the ground. 2 pieces of trash dare to be arrogant in front of me. Qin Yun secretly rejoiced in his heart, but he did not say it out loud. Otherwise, Jian Ruyan would definitely look like she ate dynamite. Jian Ruyan stood there in a daze, unable to accept this fact. Chapter 619. Purple Moon Evil, Heroine Ruyan. Give me the Origin Spirit Xian pill. Qin Yun coughed dryly and broke the silence. Jian Shirtian is also extremely shocked. Those 3 stones are specially refined for mental power competition. He knew that Qin Yun's mental power was not weak. After all, he was a young Xian inscription master. However, he did not expect that he would surpass Jian Ruyan and Jian Nanhu by so much. I refuse to accept this. Jian Ruyan came back to her senses and shouted. It's useless even if you don't accept it. This is the rules set by your Jian family's elder. That stone is also his. I can't cheat at all. Qin Yun sighed. If you don't want to give, then don't give. I'll just consider myself unlucky. I won't lower myself to your level. After Jian heard this, she immediately rushed over and handed the 2 Origin Spirit Xian pills to Qin Yun. She shouted, I'll give it to you. I'm not a person who goes back on his word. These main sect disciples were given an Origin Spirit Xian Dan every year, and they were all reluctant to eat it, because there were times when this Origin Spirit Xian Dan could also be used urgently. When one consumed a large amount of spiritual force, not only could it be quickly replenished, it could also increase one's spiritual force cultivation. That was why some of the main sect disciples survived. Qin Yun received the Origin Spirit Xian pill and smiled at Jian Ruyan. He now had a total of 6 pills. This was a great harvest, and he was very satisfied. I'm not convinced. How about another round? Jian Ruyan is proud and arrogant. She doesn't want to lose to Qin Yun like this, because in her eyes, Qin Yun is not her match. I'm also unconvinced. Jian Nanhu also shouted, Ahu, don't join in the fun. Xian Inscription Master's mental power level is higher than yours. This is a normal phenomenon, Jian Shitian said sternly. Jian Nanhu can only listen to his grandfather and retreat to the side. Qin Yun looked at Jian Ruyan and asked with a smile, Do you still have Origin Spirit Xian pills? I don't have any more. I can know it for now, Jian Ruyan said. With my ability, I will be able to get you 2 pills very soon. I don't have the habit of being owed. Qin Yun shook his head. Then what do you want? Jian Ruyan snorted. I'm very dissatisfied with the competition method just now. It doesn't allow me to unleash my strongest mental power. After Jian Shitian heard this, he said with a smile, Xiaoyan, are you blaming me? I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that kind of method is not suitable for me. Jian Ruyan snorted. All right, use your method to compete with him again. I'll pay for the Origin Spirit Xian pills. Jian Shitian laughed. Since you're so confident, I'll support you this once. I want 4 Origin Spirit Xian Dan. When Qin Yun saw that the Origin Spirit Xian pill was produced by Jian Shitian, how could he let go of this opportunity to slaughter a pig? Jian Shitian is stunned. Everyone present is secretly amazed at Qin Yun's courage. He actually dared to swindle a half-immortal's things. Qin Yun, fuck you. Jian Ruyan immediately cursed. Why didn't you say you wanted 10 pills? All right, I want 10. Qin Yun laughed. For it is. Jian Shitian is also speechless towards Qin Yun. He is also cursing Qin Yun in his heart. He now understands why Qin Yun is always able to stir up so many big events. Qin Yun looked at Jian Ruyan and asked, How do you want to compete? Qin Yun, I know you can use mental power to control throwing knives. Jian Ruyan said, I'll release my mental sword and you'll use your throwing knives. We'll use our mental power to control our own weapons and compete. Whoever destroys the other party's weapon will win. Qin Yun thought for a moment and said with a nod, All right. He took out a throwing knife. His throwing knife has also been strengthened and is a Xian tool. Jian Ruyan immediately released a white longsword. That is her mental sword. She also has an origin sword. Possessing 2 swords, this is also her most powerful aspect. Begin. Jian Ruyan controlled her sword to fly into the air. Qin Yun controlled the throwing knife to fly over and collided with Jian Ruyan's mental sword. Bang, bang, bang. The throwing knife and the longsword collided, producing a series of muffled sounds. It can be seen that the 2 weapons are condensed with extremely strong power. It's good to have strong mental power. Controlling weapons to fight from a distance is just like using concealed weapons. In the fantasy field, Qin Yun used these throwing knives to quickly kill a large number of people. I wonder if he can defeat Jian Ruyan. In the fantasy field, Jian Ruyan can also use a single sword to destroy a powerful core. Many disciples of the Immortal Weapon City are discussing among themselves. The seniors of the other powers are also secretly envious, because from a degree of the collision, they can tell that Qin Yun and Jian Ruyan's mental power is very strong. And in their powers, there are very few such outstanding seedlings. Hu Jingxian sighed and said, "That guy Xiao Yun refuses to join our Demon Moon Island no matter what. What a good little brother. He's also very good-looking." The few women of Demon Moon Island also feel that it's a pity. They have long wanted to get an outstanding male disciple to enter Demon Moon Island, and Qin Yun is a very good candidate. The upper echelons of Demon Moon Island did not object. They also know that Qin Yun does not want to implicate Demon Moon Island. Hu Jingxian knows this matter the best. Because Xiao Yuelon is Qin Yun's wife, she is in Demon Moon Island. He is worried that he will implicate Xiao Yuelon, so he refused to enter Demon Moon Island. Jian Ruyan controlled her mental sword and frowned. She constantly hacked at Qin Yun's throwing knife. She suddenly realized that her choice of method is not very appropriate. Because Qin Yun's throwing knife is relatively small, it is not that easy to fight. Qin Yun can control the throwing knife very flexibly. He only lightly dodged Jian Ruyan's mental sword. This woman's mental power is indeed very strong. However, she is not as strong as you in this kind of mental control technique. You often use it. Furthermore, the mental star transformation is a mental power cultivated from the 9 suns' spiritual energy. It is also very strong. Ling Yuner said, "There is another reason why Qin Yun's mental power is so strong. It is the effect of the Star Sun Heart Sutra." "Jian Ruyan, you've lost for sure." Qin Yun shouted in his heart and raised his mental power to the limit. His throwing knife suddenly covered in a purple glow. The flying dagger fiercely slashed at the incoming white sword, cutting it into 2. Jin Shurtian promptly walked over and pressed his hand on Jian Ruyan's head to stabilize her situation. She lost. Qin Yun withdrew his throwing knife. The half-immortals and martial monarchs gasped in astonishment. Purple spiritual power. How did this guy cultivate it? This is a very unusual mental power. Mu Feng watched from afar and was secretly surprised. The purple mental power that Qin Yun had released was indeed very powerful. Jian Ruyan recovered and panted slightly. She said coldly, "Qin Yun, that is a purple-colored mental power. Do you know what that means?" "What does it mean?" Of course, Qin Yun didn't know, and Ling Yuner didn't tell him. "That's the purple sun mental force." Jian Shurtian said, "Among the 9 suns, the purple sun's mental power is the strongest. Since you can release purple mental power, your mental power must have transformed into a purple star. If you cultivate further and step into the middle stage of the spirit martial realm, you could transform your mental power into a purple moon. Many people have heard of the purple sun mental power, but it is very difficult to cultivate it, and there are no cultivation techniques or anything like that. Qin Yun actually has this level of mental power, causing Dao masters to sigh endlessly. Qin Yun never thought that there would be such a meaning and is secretly astonished. "Oh," Qin Yun said indifferently. "Qin Yun, although I don't know how you cultivated it, it's very dangerous." Jian Ruyan said, "It's best if you cripple your current star transformation mental power. Otherwise, once your mental power transforms into a moon, it will be dangerous." "What do you mean?" Qin Yun curled his lips. "Moon represents Yin. If your mind transforms into a moon, then the mental purple moon will absorb a large amount of Yin energy and turn your Xian body into a Xianin body. After that, you will no longer be able to absorb the 9 suns' spiritual energy. You can only continuously absorb Yin energy and turn into a Yin evil devil." Jian Shurtian's expression is solemn. He doesn't look like he is lying at all. Chu Binyu said with a frown, "There's actually such a thing? I thought it was a good thing. If there's a way to stop the Yin energy from entering the body and smoothly reach the mental sun transformation realm, it will be a good thing, but it's very difficult." Bao Changsho said, "Qin Yun, if you want to cripple your mental power cultivation, we can help you. With us half-immortals taking action, we won't be able to cause you any harm." Jian Shurtian nodded. "Senior, give me the Origin Spirit Xian pills. I know my own matters very well." Qin Yin is not worried about the evil that Jian Shitian mentioned. Jian Shitian took out 4 origin spirit Xian pills and handed them to Qin Yin. Then you better take care of yourself. Ling Yin'er said, Xiao Yin, it's fine. You have the 9 Sun Divine Spirit. Suppressing the Yin energy is not a problem at all. When Qin Yin heard Ling Yin'er's words, he felt even more at ease. Jian Ruyin coldly snorted and said, We kindly advised you, but you didn't appreciate it. If you die in the future, don't blame us for not reminding you. I appreciate your good intentions, Qin Yin said with a smile. With my powerful mental power, I can't bear to cripple it. Otherwise, how can I refine talismans in the future? You will definitely regret it in the future, Jian Ruyin snorted. At this moment, Granny Ma came out. She brought along a masked man wearing a black robe. When Jian Nanhu saw the familiar mask, he immediately became excited and said, It's this guy who defeated me. Qin Yin also hoped that the masked man would be able to defeat Jian Nanhu. That way, there wouldn't be so many problems. In a lawkeeper hall, there are indeed many powerful disciples. Usually, no one knows about them. The last time Qin Yin entered the ghost grass devil forest with them, he experienced the strength of those disciples. I've made you wait for a long time, Granny Ma said. Then let's hurry up and begin. Jian Shitian chuckled. Qin Yin also retreated to the side of the arena. Jian Nanhu watched so many matches earlier and wanted to fight for a long time. Now that it was finally his turn to go on stage, he immediately became extremely excited. The masked man entered the arena. He looked very calm. You can use weapons, Jian Shitian said. If Jian Nanhu didn't use a sword, he would only be able to unleash 50% of his strength. The masked man took out an axe and nodded. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.